Introducing PubCoin. PubCoin is the rewards program for pub sports contributors. Regular chat contributors share their play of the day, POD, in the YouTube chat, including the phrase POD in their message. At the end of the week, the amount of units earned are converted into PubCoins. PubCoin can be used as reward points for prizes, shop discounts, and contests.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Mills here, Pub Sports Radio. Do you guys want to challenge the personalities here at Pub Sports Radio? Do you guys think you're better than them at entering in your MMA predictions and picks? Would you want to get paid for it? $100? Here's how you do it, man. You sign up right here at the link below. It's just this easy. PubSportsRadio.com. Enter your email. Pick your weekly picks. That's it. Oh, and you get bonus points if you can predict how they're going to win in what round. Every single week, a new winner's getting crowned. So every Saturday on Pub Sports Radio. So come on and check us out. You can win $100 just for signing up. Only thing you need to do is see if you can beat us here at Pub Sports Radio by entering your UFC predictions and picks weekly. Do it. I dare you. See you guys soon.
Upgrade your membership to Gold. You will be automatically entered in every horse race, every Wednesday and Friday. It is time to race horses. We are racing camels today.
Shout out to the Gold members. We're racing in San Antonio immediately here. And we're off. 2 minutes, 74 canals on this racetrack. It's wide. We're racing in San Antonio.
Pat Wally moving forwardly. Jeff Slaughter in the mix as well. And as is Randall Sheffield, who's put that beautiful nose out front.
But it's actually real grass here, Jimmy. Maybe Kentucky bluegrass. Oldie, no! There he goes. Oldie in the lead now. K. Wolf falls back. The horses love it. Sometimes they stop and eat it on the way to the finish line. That's why your horses start so far in the back. Here. Oh, look at Nussflush Allen bursting out here. J-Dub in the mix. Rude Boy up here as well. Jimmy, take it away.
There's Oldie. Oldie is moving to the front. We are past the halfway mark in our 2 mile. And there's Ricky Levy.
Oh my goodness, he's in the mix here. Jimmy, take it home. This is our first dog race ever.
19 seconds left in the horse race here. It's Fernando Mendoza trying to find the wire. 14 seconds left. Can Fernando Mendoza take this home? Here comes Kenny Can. Kenny Can wants a piece of the pie. Put his schnoz up front. Ricky Bobby, 9 seconds left. Can Donut Silks make a run? Can Res Mall make a run to be $50?
You son of a bitch!
Here comes Tori Coker. Kenny Can, Smoke and Mirrors, Director 97. Home. That is a way. Here comes Jason Meyer, the Eldorado Custodian. Billy Friedrich. Jones all coming down the advantage.
Coin! Nowhere!
Oh no! Fanatical Jim!
From the corporate Peter Loshak, legendary sports handicapper, more dapper than a dom. For the young phenom known as Jimmy, who declared one day that the bag was here to stay. Information like a PSA when we all PSR Pub Sports Radio bizarre. Is a man named Slaughter and he flipped the script. No competition in this but they quit the trip. But we say we be pubbing, better with the bag and you love it. We want a top 10, we above it. Let's check.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Pub Sports Radio. They changed the intro. I wasn't aware of that happening. All right. Little bit late here, running behind, as is often the case. But It's understandable because we got everything today. We got NHL. We're going to talk college basketball, the Duke game, and the Kansas game with Dabby Cab. We got everything going on. We're going to talk the Georgia college football game with Dabby Cab. We're going to talk the 8 NBA in-season tournament games with Brizzy. We got everything. First, we got to talk about NHL with Mr. Gokster, which we only have him for half an hour every day, which is fine. We're thankful for whatever we got, right? Gogi, you got to run in 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, with 30, 35 there. We can 7 games,
all
2
right.
Pete. So yeah.
How's my audio and video and everything good? Everything good?
Sounds good over here.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna retweet what I got to retweet while we're talking about the NHL games, Mr. Gokster. We got 7, so we'll still keep a brisk pace, but we will hold on, let me bring it up. But we can be a little bit thoughtful, perhaps a little bit more thoughtful. I still got to bring up the comment section. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gogi.
As always, there, Pistol. Be thoughtful.
As always. All right. I'm gonna intro the first game, and then we will. And then while you're talking, I will retweet the show, and I will also bring up the comment section. We'll look at what everyone has to say. Huge shout out to everyone in the comment section. We got a huge show today, and I do happen to know. I'm sure Ron Crawford will pop in and tell us that Toronto is his spreadsheet play of the day, because I already glanced at that on Twitter. I saw that Toronto is a spreadsheet play. That's the first game we're going to talk about, Mr. Gokster. Now, this one, an interesting game, right? Toronto, no, I don't know if you remember last week, I think it was the first game that Austin Matthews was out. The line went down 25 points or cents, or I don't know where it closed. But in that show, I don't know if you remember, I jokingly said, now I like it more. And it was true. I didn't give it as an official play, but I definitely bet Toronto -1 in that game without Austin Matthews. They have now won 3 games in a row with Matthews out, right? 3 straight impressive margin home wins, all without Matthews. Before I finish up my preview, is Matthews back tonight? I was reading that he might be.
No, I don't have him in at all. No, I have him in the IR still.
Okay, so maybe we love Toronto once again as a small favorite. They're playing Ottawa. Ottawa off a big OT win at Boston as an underdog. But in general, before that, they've been losing, and they're just not a very reliable team right now. I thought that they that their home game against the Islanders 2 games ago would be a good bounce-back spot for them, and they lost that one, although I did recover most of my losses with an in-game +2.5 bet on them. So I only lost a little on that one. But I thought that was a good bounce-back spot for Ottawa against the Islanders, at home, a vulnerable team, and they just didn't get it done. So Ottawa off an OT win at Boston as a dog. We know that Boston is a beatable team, so I don't give Ottawa too much credit for that when they're off of a win. And I'm thinking that maybe, now that I hear Matthews is still out, maybe we like Toronto again as a small favorite. And it is the Ron Crawford spreadsheet play of the day. I saw that on Twitter.
Well, I'll tell you why I don't like the Leafs. I'm on the Senators, guys. I'm doubling down. I'm going first period money line, and I'm going Ottawa full game here. There's going to be a back-to-back. Keep that in mind for tomorrow at Washington. Stolarz is going to be in tonight. Wall probably tomorrow. Not confirmed, but more likely than not. They also had a back-to-back, Pete, on the 8th and the 9th. And now they've had, 3 days off. They're going to have another back-to-back up against Washington tomorrow. It just feels like the spot is just not right here. Yeah, they've outscored the opponents 11-2. They're 3-0. Without Matthews. Now, Pete, they don't have Pacioretty. Pacioretty's now out for the foreseeable future as well. So missing another, top 2 forward there for this team. And you're getting a team in Ottawa that's just getting healthier and healthier. They're getting Pinto back in the lineup too. The guy's been out for a little bit. Third line centerman for this team. So Ottawa is very live here. Whenever I can tell you here, being in this area too, Pete, I live right in between these 2 cities. This is a big rival game, especially for Ottawa. They always get up for the Leafs. They got him vulnerable, in my opinion, right now, coming off of a nice win against Boston, getting Pinto back. This and Ullmark, he is 5-1, 854 save percentage. Stolarz has been great as well, but I'm expecting Ottawa to get things done tonight. +107, +115. Just like the spot, and I like how they got pretty much their full team back. Perron's also day-to-day, but getting Pinto back and the full decor as well with Zub. Senators feel live to me.
Okay. I don't trust this. I mean, in certain spots, I do trust him. I mean, even after going down against the Islanders, I live bet them +2.5 goals, and they went down 3-2, and then they gave up a late goal. So that one cast. So I trust him here and there in spots, but in general, I don't really trust that team. And I'm definitely leaning Toronto. And again, it is the Ron Crawford spreadsheet play of the day. Now I got the comments section up. Huge shout out to everyone. Let's see what people have to say about this game. Nasty Nate, shout out Nasty Nate. Talk about the Celtics. We will talk about all those games in a moment. Big Scott 510 with his plays there. Let's see. He likes the first period over 1.5. Yeah, I was thinking that was I didn't say first period in my notes here, but over. It is a little bit of a suspiciously low total, right? At just 6.
Yeah, both of these goals, Allmark and full game with Stolars, it's not going to be easy, I would say, for these two teams. And also, it's been a lower scoring. The Leafs have been a lower scoring team with those two. Or sorry, with Matthews being out lately. And also, just bringing up some stats here. The coach for Ottawa guys played 2 seasons for the Toronto Maple Leafs to 01, 02, 02, 03.
Yeah.
Travis Green. So, you got your former coach going up against this team as well. Actually, in 06, 07 as well. But yeah, this team has been a lot lower scoring with Matthews out. Now they don't have Pacioretty, another player they got to deal with, and they got a back-to-back. Everything just feels like Ottawa. And I'm doubling down to first period. Ottawa's been a really good first period team on the road too. So give me Ottawa first period and full game.
Yeah. All right. I just copied and pasted Big Scott's plays here.
Over.
He is again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I understand the over there. The full game is where I feel stronger on Ottawa here. Yeah.
Chess and Gambling Daily says hockey and baseball I find to be the hardest to bet and win consistently. Right. That means that probably other people know exactly what to look for and do it well. I'm that way with NBA. I'm terrible at NBA, which tells me that some people are freaking great at it. And that is true. I know some people think NBA is their most it is their most profitable sport. So yeah, I do pretty well in NHL and baseball in general. So hopefully I'm not jinxing my picks today, but shout out to you, Chess and Gambling Daily. Yeah, I hear you. I could talk about that at length, but we don't have time right now. And we're here with some stuff from Morgan Spooner. All right. I'm definitely leaning Toronto, but I just want to quickly check to see where this line has moved, if it's moved at all since I looked at it. Yeah, about a 10-cent move in favor of Ottawa. There you go. Okay, let's move on to the next game. Here we go. You tell me, Mr. Gokster. Winnipeg Rangers. For people who don't follow hockey, Winnipeg, totally awesome is an understatement, right? I believe it's the best 15-game start in NHL history as far as points are concerned. I don't know. Have they lost one game? Winnipeg winning every friggin' game in and game out. Now they're a dog, an underdog. Going up against the Rangers. The Rangers have been excellent too, a notch below Winnipeg, clearly. I mean, the Rangers have had a few losses, but you know, they're not. They're playing well though. You know, they've maybe been. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think both teams are playing well, even though the Rangers are 9-4. They're still playing well. You can't compare that to the 14-1 from Winnipeg.
Right. The thing about the Rangers, though, is they've gotten maybe the breaks going their way a little bit. They've gotten outshot in a lot of their games. They've gotten outshot in a lot of their wins, and that's something that is not necessarily sustainable, especially here against a team like Winnipeg. Now, I have to think that if ever there's a situation where there's going to be a public dog, it's going to be Winnipeg here. The line I first saw was Rangers minus 125. And yes, it has moved about almost 10 cents in Winnipeg's favor, which makes sense to me. Look, I'm a public guy myself, and I was thinking Winnipeg as a dog. How can you not take it? Or maybe the Winnipeg team total over. What's your take on this one, Gogi?
Well, I tried not to play every game, but here we are. These two teams, Hellebuck 4-0, and then Quick, I expect it could be Quick or Shesterkin, but Quick on the season, he's 3-0 with a .964 save percentage, playing really well. Shesterkin, no slouches himself, but if Shesterkin does go, I don't mind that, Pete. He's coming off of getting pulled against Buffalo. Before that, 35 of 37, 40 of 41. Whenever I have a really good goalie getting pulled the next game, and against the team in the Jets, where Shesterkin's a game where he's going to get up for this. And then on the other side, you got Hellebuck's best goalie in the league right now, has been like that for a while. Goals against, past 3 games for Winnipeg, only 1 goal against. And then when the Rangers do win, Pete, the opponents haven't scored 3 or more. This just feels like a lower scoring game. I know that the offenses are live, but the defenses are really strong. Top 2 goalies, in my opinion. Even if Quick goes, I wouldn't compare him to Shesterkin, but right now he looks fine. Power play, penalty kill. Really good power play for Winnipeg, guys. 50% on the road, but they're going up against 92% penalty kill on the Rangers. So I think both teams are going to it's going to be a tight game. Could be an overtime 3-2, 2-1, but no goal in the first 9 minutes, 30 seconds, plus 120, Pete. And then I also played the full game under, plus 106. I just don't see this game. I see the Rangers being live here. When the Rangers do win, like I said, 3 goals or less, the opponents haven't scored 3 or more. So, and they've only allowed 1 goal in the past 3 games against Dallas, Colorado, Utah. Dallas, Colorado, really impressive there. But just this Rangers team, this is a game I see both teams getting up for. This should be like a playoff game in my opinion. So,
well, Big Scott.
Yeah.
Big Scott 510 likes Winnipeg money line. I've copied and pasted Justin McElvey and Kong's Clips' plays here. Shout out to Jay Peasy. Yeah, Nuke Worker says Rangers are good, but they've had a soft schedule. Yeah, and like I said, they have also been getting outshot, which is, not a good sign. Not a good sign. Yeah, I agree with Nuke Worker. Good. I mean, they're good. They're fine. They're good. Maybe a little bit overvalued right now. So if it was anyone else, I think I'm going to have to pass on this one. I mean, you're right. And Shesty is like, I guess he's good too, but he's gotten lit up more than once, right?
Yeah, I got the game logs right here. 4 against Washington on the road, 3 against Florida, the 5 against Buffalo. Here we go. 1 against Toronto, 1 against Detroit, 1 against Ottawa, 1 against the Islanders. Now you're going up against a Jets team that's really good. I just think when you have 2 goalies like this, Pete, and the situation coming off the big loss, and also the Rangers, they've had an easy schedule, but when you have an opponent like the Jets, 14-1, and a good hockey team in the Rangers, it's going to be a battle. I expect.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think that might be. I think the first period under might be. I'm just worried about Shesty because, like I said, the Rangers aren't necessarily generating a lot of shots. It's a huge game, so they're going to get up for it. Hopefully, it's a bounce back from Shesty, and I will make that an official play. I'll make the first period under. My first official play, Mr. Gogster. That's a little bit half my handicapping and half capping the cappers. We got what do we have here? Where's the total? Plus 108. I'll make that my first official play. Winnipeg Rangers first period under 1.5 plus 108. Probably shop around and get better, but I'll just take that. What were you going to say, Gogi?
Oh, I know Pinnacle's got plus 110. They did before the show, but yeah, I'm on the no goal first 9 minutes 30 as well. Pistol full game under. Just looking at the goals against both these teams, home road splits. They don't allow a lot of goals. Yeah, the other teams score, but the defenses and the goaltending I expect to be very strong here tonight. And this is also a first game at 3 on the road for Winnipeg. They got Tampa Bay next, and then Florida again, actually. So tough little stretch here for Winnipeg coming up. I expect a lower scoring game. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, and watch your mouth there a little bit, Gogi. You're not supposed to be saying certain things in this show.
What?
I don't mean to censor, but if the powers that be tell me to censor, I'm gonna fucking censor people.
Well, you tell me what I said.
All right, okay. I think we're only supposed to be using referencing licensed books in the United States here, or Canada too.
What did I say?
Oh, Canada is. Yeah, I'm not sure. We'll talk about that later. I'm not sure if we're allowed to mention that book that you just mentioned, which is a book that is certainly quotable. Gogi.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it. I didn't even realize.
Yeah,
what I said, so
I think although I'm not sure because I'm not sure. Just wanted to mention it, but all right, yeah. So plus 108. I'll make that my first official play here. Let's see what we got going on here. Irish King, yeah, Jonathan Quick. Look at that. All right, let's move on to the next game, which is New Jersey and Florida. Another interesting one, Gogi. You tell me this. You tell me what you think here. New Jersey off a straight up home loss as a minus 300 fave, right? But that was off a back-to-back, off an overtime road win. So a little bit forgivable there. Before that, they had won 5 of 6. So New Jersey now is a dog here at Florida, coming off a huge home loss. But Florida, off of the after the shaky start to the season, where they had some injuries and everything, and some guys out, is now rolling. They've won 7 in a row. Last one was a little close though, right? OT win or a shootout win as a big minus 250 home fave. These two teams are also going to play again on Thursday in Florida. So it's the first of not a home and home, but just 2 games in a row. Florida obviously rolling. The last game a little bit iffy. New Jersey can get their wins. They're a dog here. They're off a loss. I'm not sure what I think about this. What you got? Anything on this one, Gogi?
I'm going with both teams to score in the first period here, Pete. Good point about the schedule there. Tough upcoming spot here for Florida. They got the Devils again, then Winnipeg twice. Both teams are healthy here. Listen to this, won 7 in a row. The Panthers scoring 34 goals. So quick math, that's about 5 goals a game. And then the other side here, the Devils, I trust them to run up and down here with the Panthers. Markstrom is in net, 5-3 on the road. Looks like it's going to be Knight. Confirmation on Knight in goal tonight. So he is 3-1 on the season. Okay, I think he's had 1 game there. He allowed 1 goal. Other than that, about 3-4. So I like I kind of lean to the Devils here tonight. But the first period, both teams will score, Pete. Also, looking at some stats here, just quick, like the period-wise, guys. I'm looking at goals per period here. And Florida, let's just see here, 12, 11, 8. So that like both of these teams, Pete, especially in the first period, I'm expecting there to be goals. As the game goes on, I'm going to stay off it as the game goes on. But Panthers and the Devils, guys, we're looking at some goals tonight here, especially early. The back-to-back. Whenever you have teams, this happens in the AHL a lot. When you have teams that play 2 games, even if it's not back-to-back, they usually figure something out after that first game. So I would expect this game to be a little more higher scoring, and you got the backup going in for Florida. So first period, both teams to score a nice little plus 150. Wouldn't talk any. I was almost going to play both teams to score 3 goals as well. I got that in a game here later on coming up. So yeah, there should be some goals here in a weird back-to-back spot.
Yeah, now you got me thinking. Now you got me. So Spencer Knight, you're down on that guy, huh?
Well, I'm not so much down on him. It's just that they're going to get more of the read the next game. You're going to have Bobrovsky going on Thursday. Markstrom's going to be going tonight. Not confirmed yet from what I'm seeing. Other goalie would be Jake Allen. It's just whenever you have it happened today or in the AHL, Belleville Laval, this is AHL, but 2 really good teams played, Pete. The first game finished 4-3. Second game, I think it was 3-2, and there wasn't many opportunities. Teams just really kind of figure out the tendencies, and it's tough to really make the change like that after 1 game. So the first games are usually higher scoring when you get a situation like this.
Yeah, gosh, it really is tempting to take the 6.5 is juiced to the under, and the 6 at some place I'm looking right now is mine like minus 127. Gosh, I really want to take a shot with that over. I'll think about that. That's what I was thinking about. Line has moved a little bit in New Jersey's favor. That's an interesting matchup.
And you got 2 power plays, 29% for the Devils on the road, 22% for the Panthers. Two teams that get on the power play. More likely than not, I expect a goal. 83%, 80%, not bad, but the offenses feel live here, especially in the situation. Yeah.
Yeah. What about a first period over?
I like that. I got first period both teams to score pistol plus 150. I don't mind the first period over, minus 140. I like the score, and I expect both teams to put one up on the board. So it's kind of what
do you think about first period over 1 minus 438? Now we're talking, baby. Now we're talking.
Bridge jumping, but
now we're talking, baby. All right, I got to think about what I want to do because I want to put some kind of this is a game that I was thinking about and over with. But let's move on. This is an interesting one, right? Boston, St. Louis, 2 struggling teams. St. Louis, a pretty big home dog, though. When I first looked at it, it was about plus 140, and that's right where it is approximately right now. A low total, not necessarily because the defenses are so good, but because the offenses have been anemic on both sides. Boston, in particular, has not been good on the road this year. 2-5 so far on the road this year. St. Louis hasn't been good either. They do get their wins, especially at home. They've actually had 8 home games this year. 4-4 in those home games. All of those games, they were an underdog. So they've actually been a bit undervalued at home as a dog, and here they are again, and I'm not seeing why Boston is going to pose a particular challenge, a struggling team. So I was definitely leaning St. Louis at this line. St. Louis is depleted injury-wise. Their offense isn't getting anything done, but neither is Boston. A lot of guys out for St. Louis, but I'd definitely be leaning St. Louis here at the dog line. And as far as a total is concerned, I'm not sure. I mean, St. Louis has been giving up goals, but not to teams like Boston. Maybe a Boston team total under. Definitely leaning St. Louis at the dog line.
Yeah, the unders were what feels right. Feels right here, guys. Looking at some stats here quickly for the first period goals here. St. Louis there, Pete, with a depleted team at home, they're only scoring 3 goals in the first period. The first period under, no goal in the first 9. I'm going to do a late ad here. I'm going to add that no goal in the first. First period under 1.5. I'm going to add here. I actually think Boston's a little bit more live. They've really underperformed. Swayman's 0-3-1 on the road here with an 884. Binghamton, he's 2-3 with an 869 at home, 3.63. They haven't scored on the damn power play still, the Blues at home, which is that's embarrassing. That's why I only got 3 goals, 3-8-6, and then 5-8-13. 13 goals allowed too, Pete, at home in the third period. That's not a sign of a team that, they've won, but that's not a recipe that's going to win some games. So I lean towards Boston here. I'm going to add the first period under 1.5, but I also have St. Louis's team total under 2.5, Pete. I don't expect them. I don't expect them to do much here. 5-on-5 against a Bruins team that, they're coming off another loss against Ottawa. Swayman, he's going to get a win here. Like a good goalie like that, 0-3-1, he sees that too. You're missing Peak, a couple of defensemen that aren't really their top 3 defensemen. Peak, I would say he would be in the lineup, but their power play is nothing for the Blues. Their injuries, Thomas, they got Broberg's out, Leddy's out, Krug's still on the IR. Tough 3-game road trip upcoming too here for the St. Louis Blues, Pete. They got Buffalo, then they play at Boston, and then a back-to-back at Carolina coming up. So real tough spot for St. Louis coming up. This feels like a lower scoring game tonight. I would actually be fading St. Louis coming up here on that road trip, Buffalo, Boston, Carolina. But St. Louis team total under 2.5, minus 109. And then I'm taking that first period under. I'm just going to find that odds here quickly for that. It is minus 105 here on the first period under. I'm going to add that as well.
Jeez, Bennington gave up 8. How do you give up 8 goals in one game?
And they didn't pull them? They didn't pull them?
No. But, I mean, earlier on the homestand, he held Tampa Bay down, right? He held Toronto down. Those are reasonable teams, right?
Yeah, and a goalie coming off that, like that's a little tough for the old confidence there. Had Sunday, Monday off. A team like that, I would expect them to bounce back. Washington is a wagon. Before that, the 3-2 win against Tampa, 4-2 against Toronto. I just think with these injuries too, this team, they're going to have some losses, I think, start to build. Lost 8-1 to Florida. It's not the first time they've lost 8-1 this year. They lost 8-1 to Ottawa as well. Jesus. So I do feel like Boston is a little bit live here. It's still going to take the under 1.5. My only reason I didn't take 9 minutes, 30 seconds is because I do think Boston could score one early, possibly on the Blues. But I think Boston's live here in the under. Yeah.
But you don't like, what's up with Bennington? He also held Winnipeg down to 3 goals earlier this year. Yeah, I don't know what to I'm leaning.
And he's missing defensemen. You're missing Broberg and Leddy. Like I can bring up their line here quickly, but the defense is getting a little thinner too for this St. Louis team who's got Springfield as their farm team, which they don't produce a lot defensively. So tough spot for St. Louis going forward.
Yeah, and the line is headed in Boston's direction. It's up to about 5 or 10 cents in Boston's direction. All right, I'll hold off on that one for now. An interesting matchup there. Then the next game, Islanders at Edmonton. Tell me what you think about this one, Mr. Gokster. The Islanders have actually won 3 of 5 now, but again, kind of like Ottawa, they're just a team that, will get it done for you here and there. I have my spots, but in general, not a reliable team as far as I'm concerned. You look in their last game, they were up and then they collapsed. They can't really hold leads. They let teams back in. That's kind of a mark of a team that's definitely if the Islanders get up early in this one, I'll be looking hard at betting Edmonton live in some way. Edmonton, of course, not good start to the season, but they're off a 7-3 win at Vancouver, maybe rounding into form now. They're a minus 200 fave or so here. I'd want to take Edmonton, but I don't know if I could lay that number. Definitely, though, if Edmonton goes down, I'll be looking hard at a live bet on them. What's your take on this?
This is an Edmonton smash spot, I think, here. Defensively, like they got Isaiah George on the second defensive pairing with Dobson. I don't even know Isaiah George, which, it's not a good sign there. They got Pulock. They're getting thin defensively, Pete. They need to get Romanov back. Pellick's out. Riley's out. Barzal. Duclair's still out. The speed here for Edmonton just feels like it's going to be too much. I don't like who's going to keep up. Horvat can skate. This isn't a fast team. And if Edmonton starts just skating here and they've underperformed all year, they got McDavid back. What happened? They scored the most amount of goals they've had all year. So this is I actually got Edmonton in a moneyline parlay with a game coming up here, but I wouldn't talk Yaffe. I don't do this usually, but like a puck line on Edmonton. Edmonton scored 4 goals. Sorokin is in net. That's kind of their only slight bright spot. He is 3-1-1, 925 save percentage, but they're not doing anything on the power play. Islanders missing defense, a team in Oilers who have underperformed that got their captain back. This feels like an Oilers team that gets up early and just runs away with this game.
Yeah, we got to keep a brisk pace, but I would love to take Edmonton, except maybe they've turned a corner, but they're coming off of 2 home losses. Like, they're just not getting it done at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, they did, I guess maybe when they're a minus 200 fave, like they were against Pittsburgh, that's when they roll. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, coming off they beat Vancouver 7-3, lost 4-2 to Vegas, 3-0 to Jersey. But like I said, they finally scored there against at Vancouver. I don't see them really letting down. I don't see them kind of laying an egg here. It is the first of a 5-game road trip too for the Islanders. Tough spot: Vancouver, Seattle, Calgary, Detroit. So this is a team it's going to be tough for them here, and I just think Edmonton's going to.
All right. Well, Turnsy says Rangers best bet tonight, but I mean, you look at that one, the Vegas game, they were a big favorite and they lost. In New Jersey, they were a small dog, but they got shut out. All right, let's move on. Next game. I'm sorry. Okay, Calgary event. I'm sorry.
Those are good teams you said there. The Islanders, I think, are.
Yeah, you're right, but it's still okay. Next game, Calgary, Vancouver. Vancouver, a huge favorite here. Calgary's on a back-to-back. They beat LA as a home dog last night. Before that, though, they had not been good after their hot start to the season. And Vancouver is off of that big home beatdown loss to Edmonton. Edmonton's the team that Vancouver's the team that Edmonton beat. Before that, they had been good on the road, but really struggling at home this year. Like, way overvalued. I'm sure some of that is due to variance, but maybe all of it. But it's eye-opening how overvalued Vancouver has been at home. This is not a good spot for Calgary, though. So I don't know. I guess you'd want to take Vancouver, but that's very scary to do as this big of a favorite in light of how bad they've been overvalued they've been at home so far this year.
Yeah, but I'm just looking here, Pete. Who have they lost to this year? Carolina, New Jersey, and Edmonton, who's coming in on a tough spot there. This just feels like, don't overthink this one too. This is the money line parlay. I'm taking Vancouver money line, Edmonton money line plus 112 off that awful loss. Calgary won the home opener too, 6-5 against this team. Revenge factors there. Mantha's going to be out too, ACL surgery, so they're missing a pretty key player there that's going to hurt them going forward. They got Vlader in too, Darth Vlader. That's a nickname for the guy, right? But back-to-back against the Kings, going to Vancouver. Vlader's 2-1-1 with an 885. Lankinen, unbelievable road record. At home, not as good. Expect that to change here. Spot play here, kind of like the Senators one I had there, guys, earlier. Taking the Canucks on the money line. Expect them to roll the Flames here on a back-to-back.
What is up with this team? I mean, this is just such an obvious, at very least, a first period line for Vancouver. But I mean, they should be better, right?
Vancouver, well, they like I said, their losses here. I'm looking at, Pete. It's been a good hockey teams. In the last at least 2 weeks. They've beaten Florida, Philly, Chicago, Pittsburgh, then lost to Carolina and New Jersey. Beat up on San Jose, Anaheim, LA Kings. Lost to Edmonton. The spot too for Calgary on the back-to-back. They've looked decent, but really they've lost 7 of their last 10 before that game last night. 6 of those 7 games have gone under the total, so they haven't been scoring as well. It just feels like a Vancouver spot money line.
All right, I'll pull the trigger. Maybe I'll double up, but I'm going to take Vancouver first period minus 172. Vancouver first period minus 172. Hopefully, I don't get burned doing that. Let me just quick check one thing to see if I can get minus 170. And we can. I'll take minus 170. Vancouver first period minus 170. Second official play, although there's a whole bunch of other plays that I want to take. Last game on the card, Columbus and Seattle, right? Columbus lost 5 in a row. They had a nice start to the year, though, and in a couple of our shows, I took them successfully on their team total overs and stuff like that. But now it's been 6 straight games where they haven't gotten to 3. 6 straight games, 2 or fewer points. And Seattle now, they're terrible. Or they haven't been. I mean, they beat Vegas as a home dog in their last game, but they had lost 7 of 8 before that. So this is one of the situations where it's like, should Seattle be this big of a dog this big of a fave against anyone? They're right around minus 180 is where I first saw it. Let me see if it's moved. Yeah, down about 20 cents now. So it's still minus 160. Should they be a 160 fave even at home against anyone? What do you think?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, actually, because the fact there's, Seattle's that big of a favorite, that line had to come down. Merzlikins, though, historically, guys, he just doesn't get many wins on the road, and his goals against is 880 save percentage this year, 3.0 goals against. It's been like that for the last 3 years, really. The Seattle team, though, they're not doing a lot, really, Pete. 15% power play. Let's see, are they scoring really? And they were shut out twice in a row against Ottawa, Boston on the road, 6-3 loss against Colorado. Good bounce back win there against Vegas. First game back off a road trip. Usually like to fade something like that. This Columbus team, they're due for a win. I lean towards Columbus, especially at that line. But this is the game, guys. I was talking about both teams to score 3 goals, Pete. Yeah, Decord's going to be in net. It looks like Grubauer still isn't ready. They called up the guy from Coachella Valley. So Decord's he's going to have to go here. Defensively, still don't have Vince Dunn. Sprong's going to be also out. Doesn't get any easier for Columbus, but they added Fabro. I think from, I want to say Nashville, but a good defenseman, Pete. They added him. More of an offensive defenseman, if you ask me, too. So that's going to help this team going forward, I think, scoring-wise. Missing still Lindstrom, Brindley, two players that you don't really see a lot. But Ken Johnson on the IR for the whole year doesn't help this team. Both teams suck, I have here, but this just it feels like an over game. Both teams just score 3 goals. I was going to do first period, but I want 60 minutes with these teams. And I have dog of the day here would probably be Columbus in this game, just at this price. Plus 145. That's ridiculous, I think. Should be like minus 140.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe about Columbus or the Columbus first period money line. Let's review our official plays as of right now. I've only given 2. Winnipeg Rangers first period under 1.5 plus 108, and Vancouver first period minus 170. Review all your official plays, please, Mr. Gokster.
All right, locked and loaded, Pete. Senators first period money line and for in full game 107-115. Jets Rangers, we got no goal in the first 9 minutes 30 seconds, guys, plus 120. Full game under 6, 106. Both teams to score in the first period between the Devils and the Panthers, plus 150. Bruins, Blues, we got the under 1.5 in the first period, minus 105. And then St. Louis, depleted team, tough spot here, under 2.5 team total. Edmonton, Vancouver, love this money line parlay, plus 112. And then the last one we talked about, Pete, Blue Jackets, Kraken, both teams to score 3 goals, plus 165.
All right, Mr. Gokster, thanks so much. You got to run, right? We're a little bit late, right?
Yeah, no, it's pretty much closed it out, Pete. I really look forward to these Tuesdays, brother, with you. Good luck with your bets, and we'll see you guys soon.
Okay, thanks so much. Thanks so much, Mr. Gokster. All right, once again, I am agreeing that the Devils Florida first period over is something that I was thinking about as well. And you know what? I will add that one on. I will add that one on as a third play. New Jersey, Florida first period over. 1.5 minus 144. I'll add that one on. I could shop around and probably get a little bit better somewhere, but I'll just stick with that for now. I also like the over 6 in that one, buying up to 6. Actually, I should probably do that. And in fact, I will. Yeah. For my official play, it's not going to be the first period. It's just going to be over 6 minus 131. New Jersey, Florida, in that one. I definitely like that one. So 3 official plays. Let's see what we got. Jose Bouquett, you want to drop in for a sec?
Howdy, Pete.
Hey, all right. We're keeping a brisk pace here, right? What do we have up next? NBA, right?
You pick NBA, college.
Who's ready backstage?
Both are ready to go. NBA seems like they're especially ready. So I guess we'll go NBA first.
Yeah. Who should we make wait? No question about it. Dabby Cap. Cap. Wait. Well, I'm kidding around for that.
Yeah,
okay. NBA. Let's go. But Billy Briz has to leave for the UFC show, he says. But okay, so we have 8 games. How long does Briz have? Can he cover all the games?
He can cover all the games. Hello, Brizzy.
At the UFC show in a little bit.
All right. Well, are you on some sort of extreme time crunch here? Do we have to be done by 12 or something? What?
I got a solid hour.
Oh, okay. We won't need that much because I'll be saying very little. I'll set up the games here. You know, in NBA is by far my worst sport to handicap, but most cards I usually have 1 or 2 decent things to say about 1 or 2 games. When it comes to the in-season tournament, it's fun as hell. I love listening to what other people have to say. My own opinions are pretty much just capping the cappers, not doing my own capping. So let's start. Billy Brisbane. We got 8 games on the card today. Of course, they are the in-season tournament. Everyone in the comments section, tell us what you think. First game, we're going to talk about Atlanta-Boston. Boston's a huge favorite here. Nasty Nate thinks Boston smashes. Not a shock there. Boston a huge favorite here. Modest total at 226. Atlanta, they have covered a few of their last games, but they've kind of gotten beat down badly by the top teams as a big dog, including once by Boston. They're very overtrending so far this year, although the Boston game that they played was one of only 2 unders for them this year. The first half in that game went over, though. Boston, of course, great, but very 50-50 ATS. They've been undertrending recently. I was thinking, Brizzy, maybe first half over in this one. Boston, a huge favorite. Is there anything you like here?
Yeah, I think this game is going to come down to the injury report, as Trae Young will be missing this game for Atlanta. And I just think that's too much to overcome. At first, this feels like too many points, with 15.5 points in a cup game. But some of the Atlanta's defensive numbers make me think that this game could just get out of hand. They're the worst perimeter defensive teams in the NBA, allowing a lot of three-pointers and teams to score efficiently, which is often leading their games to higher scoring games. But without Trae Young, I question kind of some of where this consistent playmaking offense will even come from. Just in general, on the season, Atlanta's 3-8 ATS. They're going to be looking forward to a softer schedule at the end of the week. They play Washington and Portland to end out the rest of their week. I think those are the times they back Atlanta. Boston's 3-5 ATS in their last 8 games is double-digit favorites, but I think they're going to be able to get this done defensively, and it's a front end of a back-to-back. So maybe we see some deeper rotations here from Boston and more emphasis on defense. If I had to pick in this game, it would be Atlanta Hawks team total under 106.5 at 105.5 now, so it's moved a point. I just don't think Atlanta is going to score enough. If I had to look at a player prop in this game, it would probably be Peyton Pritchard, but on the Atlanta side, you would want to bet probably Keaton Wallace. Keaton Wallace will probably be the direct beneficiary of Trae Young being out of the lineup, but his player props aren't up. Richard, I can't say his first name, but the French kid that went number 1, he's been looking a lot better over the last week. But this is a terrible matchup for him playing against Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. So I'm not really looking his prop direction ways. And you would think the biggest beneficiary, Jalen Johnson, but I would actually look towards his under PRA here. I think Atlanta gets blown out in this game.
Yeah. I was thinking, and the line has gotten bet down a bit. Sorry, the total has gotten bet down to 224, and the Boston line is down to 15. What do you mean? I mean, Atlanta's been such a high, but you think that
I like the under. You can't really look at Atlanta's numbers too much because those are with Trae Young out there. Trae Young's a point guard. He's going to push the pace and he's going to try to throw alley-oops and getting out in the fast break. You put a rookie point guard in there of Keaton Wallace, and then your backcourt is left with Keaton Wallace, Dyson Daniels, Krejci, and I couldn't even name you who. I don't even think Cody Buffkin's even played yet. So that they're going to only have like 3 guards out there. I just have concerns. The under isn't an under on Atlanta's defense. It's a under on Atlanta's offense. I don't think they crack 100 fucking points in this game.
Wow. Gosh, you might be right there. Because I was thinking, I don't know. I was thinking, and what do you think about like Boston first half? Is that just
I think Boston in the under, but I wrote down this game at 3:00 this morning, and I first capped it. The total was at 227.5, and we're looking at the total right now. It's 224.5, and it looks like it's only going down. So I think it's the home team in the under. If I had to say best bet in this game, nobody's going to want to do it, but it's the right play. I think Boston smokes them. It's 15.5 points. For a reason. If the bookies are putting out a 15.5 point line in a tournament basketball game in a situational scenario where we always cap Boston, we're like, oh, Boston only has to win by a certain amount of points, or they don't care about how much they win. Well, it's a cup tournament game, and you ask a lot of these teams like Boston last year at the end of the fucking tournament of the cup games, they need a certain amount of points, where if they didn't bullshit in the first couple of games, they probably would have made it into the in-season tournament playoffs last year, but they ended up losing like tiebreakers and stuff like that for not scoring enough amount of points. So I would say my overall slate view, even though this is only the first game, I ain't looking to bet no fucking unders on this card today. So that's the reason why I left the Atlanta team total under off of the card, because the incentive is to score a certain amount of points. It's crazy. Like last year, it was like we're capping games based off of how much does a team need for a target score win margin, and we're betting like minus 25.5 Boston on. I'm not looking to fade Boston.
and you're not worried about, against the Nets, 13.5-point home fave, games go to OT, game goes to OT. Against the Warriors, 7-point home fave, they lose straight up. Those are their last 2 home games, Brizzy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best bet would either be Boston minus 15.5, or you take away the spread and just say Atlanta ain't going to score more than 105 points in this game. I think that's the way to go, is team total under for Atlanta. If Atlanta wins this game, I mean, you might get fucked, but I just don't see – you take Trae Young off the court, man, they're asking for a whole lot of nobodies to act like somebodies tonight.
All right. Well, I would love to take Boston money line minus 1170 as my official play, but I won't do that. I'll just take first half Boston -9, minus 115, and I think that's probably. I think.
Who's the
Go ahead.
Point guard for Atlanta? My guess is going to be Keaton Wallace, or the one that you're going to want in daily fantasy is going to be Keaton Wallace. If I had to rank my daily fantasy plays in this game, Keaton Wallace, Derek White, and Dyson Daniels. Peyton Pritchard just missed a cut for me, and calling clips is dead on right. Don't forget about the margin of victory is huge in this tournament. That was one of the biggest things from last year to this year that I think we're going to see as a difference is a lot of these teams, when you talk to them in the post press conferences, a lot of these teams and players didn't really know what the fuck was going on, and the teams that went far in the tournament last year knew what the fuck was going on.
Right. Okay, we got it. I'm taking Boston first half -9, minus 115 as an official play. All right, let's move on. The next game on the card, Brizzy, Miami and Detroit. Detroit, a small home fave here. Miami, of course, they're off of that close, low-scoring road win as a big dog against Minnesota. Big game for them. They said it was a signature win. Before that, though, they've been pretty subpar, straight up and ATS. Detroit in general been okay. ATS so far this year, very under trending. I think no Jimmy Butler for Miami, right? He didn't play in that last game that they won. I'm assuming he's out here unless there's something I don't know about. And I was thinking Detroit as a dog is worth a play, Brizzy, and definitely a live bet on them if they get down. Detroit, what do you think, Brizzy?
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. It was going to take some time to kind of see the effect of the new changes of the Pistons as they started off the year 0-4, but their play has improved tremendously. I feel like during the month of November, this past week, they've only lost both games by 1 point. It's kind of been the opposite end of the spectrum for the Heat here. They snapped a 3-game losing streak on Sunday after a hot start off to the season. And their first meeting versus Detroit, it was Dwayne Wade statue night, and the Heat kind of got that extra boost that they needed in the second half from the home crowd to really get that W. I'm kind of leaning towards the Pistons in a sloppy game, but Tyler Hero has just been way too fucking good for me to ignore here in this game. I played Tyler Hero over 22.5 points, minus 135 at that 365. We could just break it down with it's just been a true breakout season for Hero. He's top 25 in the league for points per game. While that doesn't sound like a crazy stat, he's averaging more points right now than Stephen Curry, Brandon Ingram, James Harden, John Morant, Domantas Sabonis, Wembanyama. He's averaging a career high in point shooting percentage, 45.6% on 8.3-pointer attempts through 9 games so far. And you take Jimmy Butler off the court for the Heat in this one. I expect Hero to go over his point prop for the 5th time in a row here. If you look at the number 1 options versus Detroit in the last week, they're just getting fried. Jalen Green had 15 points, but 17 field goal attempts. Trae Young had 35 points on 25 field goal attempts. LaMelo had 25 points on 23 field goal attempts. Davis had 37 points on 23 field goal attempts. Cam Thomas, 17 points off of 17 field goal attempts. And Jalen Brunson, 36 points off of 22 field goal attempts. So basically, if you're a number 1 option going against the Detroit Pistons, it's kind of like a showdown. And I think Tyler Hero is going to take advantage of the extra usage tonight.
Let me ask you something, Billy Brisbane. Give me your honest opinion. In NHL, Toronto lost Austin Matthews. I was like, now I like him more. Here we go. The comment here, the real DJX214. I think the Heat do better without Jimmy. What do you think?
The star player out theory was really if I'm not to be mistaken, the Sunday game that the Heat played against the Timberwolves. They won that game kind of off some bullshit. Like Tyler Hero had 27 points on 10 shot attempts, which is crazy. I have to emphasize how good Tyler Hero's been playing. 27, 28, 24, 26 points, averaging 23.5 points per game this season. No Jimmy Butler in the lineup, playing the Detroit fucking Pistons. It's hard for me to look past that. Like, I think the Pistons win this game. I think the game goes under, but that doesn't deny the fact that Tyler Hero can probably put up a 30 bomb himself. Like, this isn't the best Bam Adebayo matchup. Like, this is Tyler Hero doing whatever the fuck he wants to do in this game. And with that being said, he'd probably lose those type of games.
Yeah. Ooh, total has gotten bet down from 216.5 or so to 214. Gosh, I would love to take Detroit. I'm just worried that Miami off a big win is better with Butler out.
I would say off the Hami Hakas props not because of the situational spot. It's the minutes. He was on a pretty sharp minutes limit in his last game. And I don't know what it is about me, but I don't like betting on anybody with a player's limit restriction unless it's like fucking Joel Embiid.
Chess and Gambling Daily says, I like Detroit first quarter, get in and get out. And Mally Mal says, Detroit definitely playing well in the first, not a bad look.
I think the Bam prop all comes down to if Jalen Duren is going to play or not. Me and Say Hey Jose all had Jalen Duren props, and he grabbed 3 fucking rebounds in the first minute of the game and broke his ankle. I don't think he's going to fucking play, because the night that me and Jose bet on him last Wednesday, it looked like he broke his fucking ankle. It was a non-contact injury, caught a rebound, and he rolled his ankle. I don't think he plays, and that's what's making me stay off the Pistons. Like, Isaiah Stewart in the front court playing against Bam Adebayo, like, I get it. The Heat won some bullshit off of a D Wade statue night, but I think Tyler. If the Heat are competitive in this game, which I think they will be, it's probably because Tyler Hero had a good game. He's like probably like one of the best players in the league right now. I don't know what it is, Pete, but my greasy theory is white Caucasian players in NBA basketball on player props always have value on their points over, because when people bet on a slate, they want to bet LeBron, they want to bet John Morant, they want to bet KD. Nobody wants to bet Austin fucking Reeves, Dante DiVincenzo, and Tyler Heroes, the people that are putting the ball in the back of the fucking basket. If you're white in the NBA, it's probably because you can fucking shoot. And those are probably the people that we should be betting on. I mean, we've been printing Christian Braun props for, 2 weeks now?
Yeah. No, I guess you're right. I'm thinking about, would I bet I don't want to bet him either. Maybe you're right, Brizzy. All right. I'm going to hold off, although I'm going to be watching this game. If either team gets down significantly, but not out of it, I will be looking to bet on that team that's down. But great breakdown. Let's move on. Next game, Charlotte, Orlando, right? Charlotte covered 3 in a row, playing pretty well, 5 straight unders. And Orlando had been losing on the road. Then they came back home and got 2 huge margin home wins and covers. Now they're again a pretty sizable home favorite. Both these teams are sort of adjusting to rotations and dealing with injuries and making adjustments and tinkering a little bit here and there. I don't know. Will Orlando continue to roll at home? This one I have no opinion on. What do you think?
Yeah, after Paulo went out of that road trip, that concluded 5 straight losing games for the Magic. They've bounced back a lot at home. In their most recent game, they blew out the Pelicans and Wizards on Friday and Sunday. Charlotte looked like they were building momentum, been winning both of their games in their home stand last week, but their last game versus Philly was kind of just a summary of how the season's been for them. A 107 and 105 OT loss. They've been very competitive in these games. LaMelo's playing at an all-star level right now. He led the team again on Sunday with a season-high 38 points, 8 assists. They're still down some bodies in the front court, but the return of Brandon Miller would definitely help out with that. On the front end of a back-to-back, though, with the Pacers on deck tomorrow, a team that the Magic have already played 3 times this year, this could be a look-over spot versus Charlotte. Charlotte isn't letting up right now, and they're not giving away these games in a tournament-style setting. I think back in LaMelo here, who's probably the best player on the floor at plus money, and I feel like total-wise, these games are set up for high scores, and the team is being rewarded for the winning margin. And in last year's tournament, that came into play very tremendously at the end. I think the Hornets score here. My lean was the Hornets team total over 102.5. That's at 103.5 now. The only thing that's holding me off is the Terrence Mann injury news report. While he doesn't feel like a lot of points, 15 to 16 points for Trey Mann off the bench would play very controversial in an 8-point spread in this basketball game. And maybe that's why the spread went from 6.5 to 8, because that is just my greasy narrative theory. But regardless if he's in or out, I think Charlotte fucking scores in this game, man. Why is this line at 8 points? I think Charlotte's live. If you like Charlotte here and you don't even want to wait for the injury news report, if you're sprinkling Charlotte plus 7.5 or plus 8, I'll sprinkle some on the money line. I think LaMelo Ball is the best player on the court in this game.
Yeah, I mean, this year Charlotte has been pretty decent ATS-wise. Their losses, most of them have been pretty close ATS-wise, and yet the line has moved in the other direction. So my lean would be to Charlotte, but I'm going to pass on this one for now. Brizzy, let's get to the next game. Here we go. Knicks-Philly. The return of Embiid, right? He's definitely in, right? Or not?
Are you asking me or telling me?
Yeah, I'm asking you because I saw a big line move in favor of the Knicks. So maybe he's not in.
Yeah, I can give you the breakdown of this game. I mean,
no, but I'm saying is Embiid I assumed Embiid would be in. Is he not in?
1,000% in.
1,000% in. All right. So even with Embiid in, there's been a line move, 4-point move in favor of the Knicks. We'll talk about that in a moment, why that might have happened. But yeah, last night it was Sixers -1. Now it's Knicks -3. You know, the Knicks last 3 road games, all straight up losses as a favorite and margin ATS losses. So now with Embiid coming back for Philly, a 4-point move in the Knicks' favor. I mean, Philly's been pretty crappy ATS all year long so far. But again, you know, the return of Embiid, maybe he's a little bit stiff to start. Knicks have been clearly overvalued on the road the last 3 games. Right now, if you want Philly, you get a +3. What do you think, Brizzy?
Yeah, the rumors around the Sixers going into the season was not what the fans wanted to hear, but what the league wanted from us was an emphasis more on the cup games and less on the regular season games. So we were one of the teams last year that controversially were like resting our starters at the end of these cup games. And it was kind of like a fuck you to the NBA at that point. Of like, people don't want to say it, but the Sixers were one of the most popular teams in the Eastern Conference, and like them being in the cup thing is always good for the league for views because we always play like the villain role, and we just didn't give a fuck about those cup games last year. And the fans weren't happy, but Embiid will finally make his return to the lineup tonight. The Sixers have gone 2-7 through their first 9 games of the season, but they're going to look completely different from last year's team in that playoff matchup with PG-13 leading the way and Embiid being there with no Maxey in the lineup tonight. I expect a lot of public money to be all over the Knicks here, but the time to back Philly is now. They're going to be one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference, and we're going to get good value on them in their upcoming games. Their upcoming schedule is tonight versus New York. Then they play Cleveland, Orlando, Miami, and Memphis. And that's what's kind of making me stay off of this game. Probably bet this game live, but I think I'm betting the Sixers in all 4 of those next games against Cleveland, Orlando, Miami, Memphis. We're going to start getting really good lines on the Sixers. They're not 2-7 record-wise. If you said talent by talent and this was like an NBA 2K roster, the Sixers would have the second best rated team in the Eastern Conference. And I think they're the second best team in the East.
Yeah. There's a lot of great comments in the comments section. My dude says, fuck the Knicks. So I'm going to keep that in my basket of analysis when I'm thinking about this game. Why was there a 4-point move in favor of the Knicks, Billy Brisbane?
Because Maxey's out of the lineup. But I like what Real DJ says. I have concerns about Embiid being a little bit rusty. I'm just watching the game leading Knicks money line. I think that's the move. You wait for Embiid to do whatever his rusting is, see how he looks and stuff like that, and then you bet on the Sixers live. If you remember last year at the end of the year when Embiid was out for a long period of time, he came back on a TNT. It's crazy how deja vu works. He came back on a TNT game versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. We were at home. Embiid got ruled in. The line went still in Oklahoma City's direction. We were getting blown out in the first half of that game, and we came back, and Joel Embiid went off in the second half. We ended up purring through, winning the game outright against the Thunder. I feel like it's going to be deja vu all over again. The Knicks are one of the most public side bets of the day. I think they get fucked over on the money line. I got the Sixers.
Oof, yeah, I mean, there's also the revenge factor from the playoffs, and Ruiza, that's what I was thinking. So Knicks first quarter or first half? That's my question mark note here. I'm saying maybe Knicks first half, but you think stay off of Knicks in all way, shapes, and forms.
Quarter, because you got to remember, while it's a road game, it's also a home game, because you look at the star stud players of Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and Josh Hart, they all three played at the Wells Fargo in college. This is the court that they're used to playing at. It's a court that Jalen Brunson knows Jalen Brunson in Wells Fargo in college would go the fuck off. He knows what exact spots on that court that he needs to go to hit his shots. When you see Jalen Brunson play in some of these road games like the Rockets the other night, he's getting his shot blocked out of bounds and shit, and he looks like a midget. But in gymnasiums that he knows what spots or his spots, he's going to go off. Yeah, I think the Knicks are definitely going to come out hot in this game, but I think they lose this game full game-wise. One note that I thought was fucking crazy and what made me like the Sixers here is Karl-Anthony Towns is allowing a 95% field goal rate at the fucking rim this season. He is not a center. Joel Embiid could be on one leg in this game and probably put up 25 against fucking Karl-Anthony Towns. So I can't imagine what he's going to do with 2, even on a minutes limit. I don't care. PG-13, I see people in the chat, no Maxey. PG-13 is like 6'7". He's going to be fucking backing down. Yeah. Jeremy Kane's been snapping. I like the Sixers here, and this is like a theme of like the show. We try to give you guys information that you guys can take along for the rest of the week, and I think the Sixers are a better on team against Cleveland, Orlando, Miami, Memphis, and so that's why you could probably stay off of this one tonight.
All right. Well, this is an interesting one. I'm very interested to see where this line closes because, again, big move in favor of the Knicks. My thoughts on this one were agreeing with what Ru Rizza is posting, which was Knicks first half. But as far as an official play is concerned, I personally will hold off. Let's move on to the next game, Toronto-Milwaukee. Toronto, classic team, bad straight up, but excellent ATS. There's not supposed to be a good year for them. Those kinds of teams tend to have those kinds of seasons, especially early on. Bad straight up, but covering, losing most of their games straight up, but winning most of their games ATS. Milwaukee also losing. That was not expected, and that's why their ATS record is as bad as their straight up record. They've also been going under. And so, I don't know. What do you think? Now, Milwaukee's, again, a pretty sizable favorite based on how the season has gone. You might be thinking about taking Toronto, although their last couple games, they haven't been great ATS. So maybe the market is catching up with them finally. Milwaukee, a bad team, but they did get a big margin win and cover as a big home favorite against Utah. So maybe against truly crappy teams is when they rise, and that'll happen here. Milwaukee about a 6.5-point favorite when I looked at it first, and now it's up to 8.5. There you go. Total has gotten bet down a little bit from 227.5 or so to 226. Is Milwaukee a good bet here as a big fave despite how bad they've been ATS this year, Brizzy?
Yeah, one of the things I love about these breakdowns is like whenever you send out like a VIP card, it's like just the plays, like, and rather than like a breakdown of like why you are close to a play, but sometimes capping the capper is the best cap. This game, my card, but it was this close to making my card. To not anybody surprised, the Raptors are 2-9 through the first 11 games of the season. Last game of a 5-game road trip, kind of a fade spot for me. They've been averaging 108 points per game during this road trip, which is fucking trash, with an average margin loss victory of 9.2, going 0-6 on the road this season. Even without Lillard, Giannis should be able to feast on this front court. He's coming off a huge night where he had 43 points. They're going to need some role players to step up in this one. With them only scoring 120 points once during their last 8 games. But I think Milwaukee, like in years past, we would be smashing Milwaukee first half in this spot. Not great. The Raptors are great ATS full game, and that makes me like the first half even better. Like I want to bet the Bucks first half so bad, but the way my card worked out, you don't want to have a bunch of college plays, a bunch of NBA plays, and then some fall by the wayside. And I haven't really been betting a lot of first halves this year, but the theory, the cap would be Milwaukee should smoke them in the first half, and the Raptors could they backdoor cover? Probably so.
Yeah. I mean, if Toronto's down by 8 at the half or something like that, and maybe getting a couple of points on the second half line, I would think about betting that. But it's just there's no way I can take Milwaukee here because, again, no expectations for the Raps. So every game they're coming in just kind of playing loose. And Milwaukee, again, I could see them coming in again and being like, all right, they should smash here. And then they're down at the half. Like, what happened? Well, the season happened. You've been seeing this every game from Milwaukee. Go ahead.
You just feel like the 4.5 line, like first look, you see Bucks 4.5 first half. That's fucking Toronto. It's like Toronto's look good, but it's usually at home, not on the road. On the road, they're getting smoked.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, the one time that Milwaukee was a big home favorite this year against Utah, they did roll and actually covered by double digits. So, all right, I'm going to pass on this one. But again, probably if Toronto's down by 8 or so at the half and getting a couple points or something like that, I'll think about taking Toronto on the second half. Now let's move on. Another interesting one. Phoenix, Utah. Phoenix, small road favorite against Utah. And the answer to that is no Durant, right? Kevin Durant out. Also, Beal a little bit maybe banged up. I mean, I think he's going to play. But so Phoenix a little bit banged up. Durant definitely out. And Phoenix is off an OT straight-up loss, just their second straight-up loss of the year. And Durant was out for that one. Utah mostly been losing, but they won 2 of their last 3. So, all things being equal, this would be a huge bounce back spot for Phoenix, but maybe they don't have the personnel to get it done. What do you think?
Shouts to the chat. Rod Z putting a good little note in there. Maybe my gut feeling was right. Bet against Milwaukee on the first half line when playing teams against a losing record. Milwaukee on the first half line during this season's 0-5. So,
yeah, there you go. Or just bet against Milwaukee this season. You're pretty much going to make money. You would have done that no matter how you bet against them this season,
Yeah, I just want to see one last thing of who's the referee for this game. This is what makes the NBA so frustrating sometimes. Of do you want to overthink it, or is the money just there in the opportunity, and the money went up for a reason? Scott Foster's in the Dallas Golden State game. I was just making sure. I knew Scott was reffing today. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have no fucking money on a Scott Foster game. Scotty's not our boy right now. But Phoenix has some figuring out to do here in this matchup, which is a perfect matchup for them. No Kevin Durant. It kind of showed in their last game where the Suns lost 127-118 to the Kings on Sunday. But thankfully, they go to Utah on this front end of a back-to-back. While the Jazz aren't going to win a lot of games this season, they won on Saturday, and they won 2 of their last 3 games. Usually, Utah has been a very hard place to win, and that's why I think the sports books are respecting this line. But they've not looked good at home this year. They've gone 0-4 at home this year. They're 24th in defensive rate. Only the Trailblazers have a worse effective field goal percentage this season. So I think we're getting a reduced line on Phoenix. Phoenix has won 8 of their last 10 meetings, and they're on their 6-game win streak was snapped in their last game. They're 7-1 straight up in their last 8 trips to Utah. I got Phoenix here on the money line, but for show purposes, if we can give out 3.5, I think Phoenix wins this game here. I guess this is one of those ones, Pete. I guess I'm falling for the trap, but Phoenix should roll here in this spot. Probably fade them tomorrow night.
I just feel like, Miami might actually be better without Butler, short term at least. Phoenix has got to be way worse without Durant, right?
Yeah, but they're also playing the fucking Utah Jazz.
Right. Yeah, I hear they're also on the road giving a bunch of points. Yeah, this is a tough one, man.
In theory, you would think Utah back in the day, home ATS spot. They're getting smoked at the crib. Like they're not competitive in any of these games. They have only the Trailblazers have a worse field goal percentage than them this year.
The total's gotten bet down about 3 points. Maybe Utah team total under is I don't know.
I feel like when you beat Phoenix, right, it's because Phoenix doesn't play fucking defense and or shot for shot with them. And then, three is worth more than two, and Phoenix shoots a lot of twos, and everybody else shoots threes. Utah can't shoot. So if they win this game, if Utah were to win this game or to cover the spread, this total would go way over. But the total going down tells me that this is probably a Devin Booker, Bradley Beal isolation basketball. Phoenix wins this game by like 6 to 7 points.
So you think maybe without Durant, they know they got to D up a little bit more, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, that last game has to be a wake-up call. Losing 127 to 118 to the fucking Kings in overtime. That's the wake-up call that they needed. It's the front end of a back-to-back. They play Sacramento again tomorrow. Some people would say this would be a look-ahead spot. But to be honest with you, this is a take-care of business spot. You go tonight, you make sure this game is not competitive by the fourth quarter. Make sure everybody's rested. You get on the fucking road. You go into Sacramento tomorrow. And whatever happens in Sacramento tomorrow, got to tune in here with me and say, hey, Jose, and we'll tell you what will happen. But for tonight, this is a fucking do business spot. You walk inside this gymnasium tonight and you win this ball game. These are the ball games that Phoenix lost last year, is the reason why they had to play the fucking Timberwolves in the first round of the playoffs and they got bounced out, rather than them play some Joe Schmo team out of the NBA play-in tournament as a top 2 seed. And that's kind of, I feel like, the way Budenholzer has his team locked in on the regular season games. Budenholzer is one of the better ATS head coaches, I feel like, in the regular season.
Okay, capping the cappers, Billy Brizzy. I'm doubling up. Utah, full game, team total under 110.5 minus 106, and Utah first half team total under 54.5. Let's see what odds I get on that one. Where is it? Yeah, minus 111. I'll take that. Even in the one game at home where Utah did explode, they still, I mean, that was the first game of the year, but they still had a low scoring first half. All right, I'm taking both of those. We'll see how it turns out. 2 team totals. I'm doubling up. I believe in what I'm hearing from you guys so much.
Team totals is the way to go, Pete. In NBA, like when I write up a lot of these write-ups, I'm still feeling out team totals, but I think team totals is the way to go because, like, we're capping the game correctly, but sometimes the NBA just NBAs at the end of the game and, like, it happens. But a lot of these team totals are pretty, like, spot on. Like, I remember last week I bet, like, a Lakers team total under. They fucking smoked – they not smoked Phoenix, but they beat Phoenix, and the team total still went under. Like, the cap was still correct. Like –
team totals are, obviously, well, we can talk about it later, but we got a lot of stuff to cover here. I'm seeing now Woo Rizza saying Utah team total under. I didn't even see that before I made my decision, but I'm taking that one. Utah, doubling up, Utah team total unders. Shout out to everyone in the comments section, and shout out to Brizzy for breaking down all these games so concisely and effectively. All right, here we go. Next game on the card, Dallas, Golden State. Is this Scott Foster? This is a Scott Foster game?
Scott Foster special.
Okay. Dallas, Golden State, Dallas, very 50-50 ATS in general on the year. Golden State returning from a five-game road trip. They've just been rolling this year. Excellent, straight up, and ATS. Of course, this is the Klay Thompson return to San Francisco. I don't know how much that matters. Of course, people are talking about it. There's going to be the multimedia thing in the beginning, but that's happening. I was thinking, I don't know. I was thinking maybe an over, but I have no idea. It's a suspiciously low line considering how great Golden State has been ATS all year long. A very low line. 2.5 is the first line I saw. Let's see if it's moved. Yeah, it's up to 3. So not a whole lot of movement, but there you go. Total's now 235. I thought over 232.5 would be worth a shot. I didn't bet it, and there we go. What do you think, Brizzy?
Yeah, I'll be quick with this breakdown because this was one that just missed the cut for me, and I do have some college basketball goodies that I do want to get.
Oh, okay.
It's been a tale of 2 different forms coming into this game as Golden State has gone 8-2 ATS and straight up this season. They've been one of the surprises this season just with a balanced approach attack led by Curry. Dallas has been the opposite end of the spectrum. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games, and while the Warriors have obviously looked like the better team, coming back from a 5-game road trip with extensive travel across the country makes me lean towards this being a Dallas Maverick spot. But to be honest with you, I really just don't want to there's a lot of shit on today's slate, and I just don't feel like sweating through a Scott Foster special here. I don't know what side Scotty Boy is on, but if I had to, it would be the Dallas Mavericks.
Man, I would love to somehow meet that guy and ingratiate myself with him and come back with all the information. In the meantime, though, we have the My Dude Fuck FanDuel play of the day. Steph Curry over 5.5 assists at -120. I'm not going to add that to my official slate of picks, but I am going to tail that one. Thank you very much, my dude. All right. We'll see how the game turns out. Very interesting game there. Last NBA on the card, Minnesota-Portland. Minnesota is off of that home loss as a big favorite to Miami, right? And they but before that though, they had 3 big margin ATS wins, including one against Portland. And Portland is off of they started the season great ATS, but they've been losing straight up and ATS recently. And so I guess both of these teams, it's a bounce back spot for them. Portland, a big dog here. I'm not sure what to make of this one.
Yeah, I think Minnesota rolls in this one. Granted, they just played each other a couple days ago, but this being a cup game, that would probably give the motivation that is needed for the Timberwolves to cover the spread. The first time that these two teams met, I mean, Minnesota beat them wire to wire, and they're probably going to be looking to bounce back after dropping that close game to Miami. Portland's been one of the worst shooting teams in the league while giving up 15 three-pointers a game. Minnesota's one of the better three-point shooting teams in the league, and the last time that they played off, 22 three-pointers made in their first meeting. I expect the Timberwolves to win this game via route and bounce back offensively after only scoring 94 points against the Heat in the last game. It's like, in theory, by matchup, you would think, Portland should bounce back. No, I think Minnesota should bounce back from not scoring 100 points in their last game. I think that's the first time that they haven't scored 100 points since like the first couple games of the season. They usually beat up on these bad teams. I mean, they beat Portland 127-102, beat Chicago 135-119, beat Charlotte 114-93. So when they're winning against these bad teams, they're winning against these bad teams. Like, they're beating the dog shit out.
Yeah, my thought was actually Minnesota team total over at like 114 or 114.5.
The team goes under.
Yeah.
That was the hesitation of me playing the team total over. Is like, while we think we want to bet preconceived notion overs on all these games, not every game on this card will go over. And I think the under is because I don't think Portland's going to score enough.
Right. And it's just, Portland got embarrassed in their last game, and if they can't score and they're going to try to not be embarrassed again, the only thing they can do is play like super vicious lockdown defense, which they might do, which won't get them the win, but it'll probably be at least a little bit effective. All right, it's a pass for me. And Brizzy, so you got some college hoops. What do you want to clue us in on here? Let's see.
Yeah, I do have a couple of college plays here.
Yeah, let us know.
Game
what a wonderful surprise.
Is Texas A&M Corpus Christi. They're going into the pit of Albuquerque, New Mexico. Mm-hmm. And I like the over 159.5. That's a very modest total for the guard play. If you look at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, their starting point guard is Isaac Williams. And for anybody that watches fucking YouTube or have seen Overtime Elite or this past summer, Isaac Williams ain't a type of guy that dribble the ball up the basketball court very slowly. He is going 110% speed for a very long time. So, Pete, the dope thing about basketball nowadays is we're seeing half of these high school players play on AAU on YouTube for these different stuff like that, and then they're playing in college 3 months later. It's kind of messed up for the AAU circuit. Great for sports bettors because we've seen half of these players basically play before they even step onto a college court, without having watched these preseason games that aren't televised. And when you look at this New Mexico State team, there's one thing that won't change about this New Mexico State team will be the pace of the play. Well, they lost some players, but they're going to try to pick up the speed for this one. I think Texas A&M Corpus Christi can hang around this one. I don't think they're going to 17.5 either or, but they hang around this one. I think this one goes way over. I think this total should be in the low 70s. I would say 171. They're not going to do that, but I think that's where it's going to finish. And then the other game that I liked was Kansas against Michigan State. This is a neutral site game in Atlanta, Georgia. This is just a talent discrepancy. You would think off of alone, you see fucking Izzo at +6.5, and you would think, oh man, Michigan State, this is too many points. And that's what the public's thinking. 74% of the bets, 74% of the handle is on Michigan State spread. Kansas is about to smoke these motherfuckers. Kansas, there's a huge talent discrepancy between these two teams. The way Kansas was handling UNC, and then they let that little scare bounce back. I think they're just going to be locked in and focused for this one from start to finish. National televised game as well. And then the other game was Syracuse versus Colgate. That is a head-to-head ATS thing. You can look at the head-to-head ATSs. Syracuse usually smashes them. But to our benefit, I believe not last year, but the year before, Colgate beat Syracuse. I think Syracuse is going to be locked in and focused. They did not look good in their first home game against Lemoyne. They only won 86-82, but that should create a good spot for sports bettors for them to bounce back in this one and be locked in and focused. And then the other game that I like was, sorry, Jose, we're fading the fuck out of UTSA today. What? UTSA is going into Bradley, and people are betting UTSA? That is crazy. Bradley's about to smoke the doors off these boys tonight.
Hell yeah. Brizzy, first of all, totally agree with the New Mexico game. Over 160. I also like the first half over 76. Of course, New Mexico played UCLA, very low scoring. Totally throw that one out. Corpus Christi went up against Purdue. That was a high scoring game. That's good. Not locks, but I definitely think they're both good bets, and I'm going to take them full game and first half. And yeah, then the Michigan State. I don't know what to make of it because last year such hype with Michigan State, they completely underwhelmed. And now this year, yeah, I mean, when Izzo's a big dog like that in the tournament, there's a reason. There's a reason. Yeah, I trust you. I looked at that game. I really have no idea what I personally think of it. Well, I do. I think nothing. I'm like listening to what people have to say, but you're like, no question, Kansas will roll.
The two ESPN games, I like Kansas, but in that second game, Duke versus Kentucky.
Wait, let me guess. Kentucky, of course, with Duke has, Cooper Flag. Kentucky has all the new guys. Actually, I have no idea what I think you think.
I think Kentucky's it's like, while both teams have new guys on the one team are old. The new guys on the other team are like high school kids, like 18, 19 years old. Man, 6.5 fucking points is a lot in this game. I think this is gonna be a claw finish. I like the under in Kentucky. Yeah, it's just, the Kansas beat UNC, but they were way up at the half. Then UNC came all the way back. And Michigan State, they haven't played anyone yet, but, they got big margin wins and covers in those two games so far. So they didn't S the bet or something, which does sometimes happen to teams like Michigan State. It's like, expectations are down and then they lose one of those games or, they're a 25-point favorite and they win by 8 or something. That isn't what happened with Michigan State so far. So, but you just think that, and Michigan State returned a bunch of starters, right? I mean, yeah, but I don't think that's a good thing. I'm with you. Like, the Kansas didn't return a bunch of starters, but the people that they got replaced, Zeke Mayo was one of the best players, and Zeke Mayo was lighting it the fuck up in mid-majors last year.
Yeah.
For one of those fucking Dakota teams. Store the dude from Wisconsin last year. Wisconsin only got far because of him. Like, when did Wisconsin ever have a black guy that's the star player on the team shooting 20 points a game? He's at Kansas now with a big NIL deal. And then you bring back Hunter Dickerson. Hunter Dickerson's got to be 28 years old. He's got a full beard and 8 chains on him now with NIL money. You bring back hustle guy, KJ Adams, who's going to die for every fucking ball, regardless if it's on a blacktop or inside a gymnasium. And then you bring back your point guard, Jawan Harris, who's been there for like 8 years. Like, it is hard to fade Kansas. There will be times to fade Kansas in Big 12. It's just like 6.5. What happens if they would have blown out UNC? Where would this line really be at?
No, you're right. You're right. And hopefully the best situation for Michigan State is all year long, they're kind of struggling, not covering spreads, and then like late January, February, that's when you start to bet them big because you're getting big lines against anyone, or they're like a 3-point favorite against a team that they'll blow out or win comfortably against. Oh man, Brizzy. Yeah, hell yeah. But I definitely am on the New Mexico over. Not a lock, everyone, but I'm definitely on that one, tailing it for sure. And the UCLA game just makes me like it even more because very low scoring. That's what UCLA does. Brizzy, Brisbane. Do you want to go over your official plays, or do we not have time for that?
I'll be quick. I don't want Debbie Kevin
Okay.
on these too long. Two NBA plays were Tyler Hero over 22.5 points, minus 135, bet 365. I'd shop that one, of course, because you could probably get a better line. And then the other bet was the Phoenix Suns minus 3.5 for jumping right into the stink. And college basketball was Texas A&M Corpus Christi, New Mexico, over 159.5 in the pit. You can use our sponsors over at FanDuel and get that 159.5 at minus 116 juice. If you're complaining about minus 116 juice, goddamn, you shouldn't be sports betting then. Other plays that I like were Kansas, Syracuse, and Bradley. That might or might not be a parlay.
Brizzy, and so tell everyone, in case people don't know, what's your UFC show? Remind us about that.
Locker Room Podcast tonight, UFC 309 in MSG. John Jones versus Stipe Miocic's heavyweight championship bout. We are going in. Me, Mills, Big Show, 2 cents. We're all back up on the podcast, and we're looking for some cash. And I got some nice little spots here on the card. We've been rolling here. I believe between me and Mills, we're like 8-2 last 10 premium plays. His plays are over at Pick Dogs. My plays are over on my Twitter page. About to go somewhere else. So make sure you tune into Locker Room Podcast because that's how you get it for free. Shouts to
yeah. Hell yeah, Brizzy, an even better segment than normal. Such a great show. Brizzy, thanks so much. We'll see you next Tuesday. All right, right now we're going to talk college football and college basketball with Dabby Cab, where we'll go over once again the Kentucky and the Michigan State game. And I'm going to copy and paste a lot of great comments coming in. There is a little bit of support for Michigan State in the comments section here. Some interesting comments about Kentucky. First, though, we're going to talk college football. We're going to talk the 3 games that are going tonight, and then we're also going to talk the Tennessee-Georgia game. I really have no idea what Dabby Cab's going to say about the Tennessee-Georgia game. But first, we're going to talk about the 3 games tonight. Welcome back to the show. Dabby Cab, how you been this week, baby? Tell us how you've been this week while I copy and paste all these interesting Michigan State and Kentucky game comments here.
Well, everybody that has followed me the last couple of years knows college basketball and college football are my favorite things to bet. So this is my favorite time of year to be gambling. So I've been great. Having both on Saturday was, it was almost too much. I was sweating all day. And I'm somebody who watches my actions. So, almost had a couple heart attacks, probably going to die young from all the gambling and sweating I've been doing. But, I love it. So I need the adrenaline rush.
Rod Z really, really making some good comments here about Michigan State. Yeah. Man, we will talk about that in a moment. Let me just copy and paste. Oh, Lex Steele, play of the state, Ball State. Here we go. Copying, pasting. I just want to get to this when we get to those games. Huge shout out to Dan Kelly.
Yeah, shout out to you guys in the chat, man. If you're still doing that, I can hit the chat really quick if you want me to. It's good to see Dan Kelly come. I think we got a graphic for Dan Kelly now, if I'm not mistaken.
We always had a.
There you go.
Dan Kelly, so great to have him in the comments section. Dan, anything you got for today's NBA games, post them in the comments or not. You know, I humbly request that you do. It would all make us very happy. But whatever you want to do is totally going to keep some stuff to yourself. No problem at all, Dan Kelly. All right, let's start. We're going to start with college football and the 3 games tonight. Then we're going to talk about Tennessee, Georgia, and then we'll talk about college basketball with Dabby Cab. We got 3 MAC games tonight. All right, Ball State and Buffalo is the first one we're going to talk about. Oh gosh, I didn't put spaces between all my copies and pasted, so this is going to be a little bit tough. Lex Steele likes Ball State plus a half first quarter at DraftKings. Yeah, I mean Ball State. They've been great ATS as a dog. They've clearly been undervalued as a dog up till now. They're getting a bunch of points against Buffalo and a relatively low total. I took the over on this one. Buffalo has extra days rest here, right? 3 extra days rest. They're off a nice win and cover against Akron. They benefited from turnovers in that one. So they got a little lucky there. anything could happen here, but I think that I took a shot with the over. I think it got bet up. It's 53 before. Now it's up to, I think, like 54.5 or 55. Ball State passing well, but still having problems rushing, which I'm assuming will mean that they will pass more and continue to have at least some success. And Buffalo, they kind of started the year. Their quarterback was struggling a little bit, but their defense was getting good results. Now both of those things have reversed. Their quarterback's playing better. Buffalo defense is slumping back a little bit. Ball State, some good weapons on offense. They got a tight end who's great. I think their defense has been overperforming just a little bit. Their defense has put up some good numbers, but I think they've been overperforming a little bit. Not a tiny total, but a modest one. And I'll probably give this officially, even though the line has gotten bet up. Let's see where it is right now. It is, 54.5. I liked it at 53. I still like the over. The line, though, has gotten bet in favor of Ball State all the way down to 3.5. It opened around 6, or the 6 is the first line I saw. It might have opened even higher. Now down to 3.5, which makes sense, just in light of how Ball State has done. But now going on the road, I think their defense is good, but probably overachieved at least a little bit. Buffalo's flawed, not touching the side, but I like the over. Dabby, did you look at this at all?
Yeah, over is what I would say too. I mean, you touched on Ball State, 38.9 points per game. They're giving up almost 461 yards per game. Just as much in the air as they are through the ground. I mean, just terrible. There's no strong point in this defense, right? The whole thing overall has been just not good. And this is a spot where, Buffalo, I think, after losing a few games, might let out a little bit of frustration, and maybe there's some value in Buffalo as a favorite here. But either way, I just think we see points. So I would go over. I haven't bet it, but I would go over.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, it's just, Buffalo, they've had a bunch of high-scoring games in a row. It's a tough one. I did bet the over 53. I don't know. I got to make an official play one way or another. And I don't know if I'm going to make a play on either of the other two games. So maybe I'll come back and make this one official here. Let's see. Lex Steele likes Ball State first quarter plus a half as his play of the day. I mean, why not? It makes sense to me. Let's see if anyone in the comment section has anything on this one. Yeah. All right. I'll hold off for now. Coin likes Ball State plus 4. Yeah, I mean, it's a big game. I'm going to hold off officially for now, but I'll probably come back and make a play here. Morgan Spooner, pretty flat travel spot. They're making those kids ride in a bus from Muncie to Buffalo. Yeah, I mean, road games at Buffalo are always a little bit tough. Buffalo also has extra rest. I mean, they're a flawed team, but they're still they also have some big positives. And I think that Ball State's defense over the past 3 games, which has gotten the job done, overachieved just a little bit, but that's a pretty clear market move in favor of Ball State. My lean to be Buffalo in the over. Let's move on, Dabby Cab. Next game on the card, Western Michigan and Bowling Green. Western Michigan had been rolling, high-scoring wins and covers. Their last game, though, they lost. It was a home loss to Northern Illinois, and Western Michigan's a team that just puts up a lot of points. They have a defense that, takes a lot of chances, so they tend to give up a lot of points. Bowling Green is a solid team, of course. They started the year poorly, maybe turned a corner with 3 straight-up wins. They're still 1-5 ATS their last 6, and Bowling Green is a team that I like to bet live. They're a good character team, but not necessarily a great team as a big favorite, which they are here. I saw 9.5 and 57, and let's see if that line has moved since. Yeah, it's still about 9.5 for Bowling Green. I would love to give Bowling Green money line minus 350 as an official play, but I'm not going to do that. Bowling Green, good defense. They like to play ball control, and Western Michigan has an exploitable defense, take a lot of chances, so they can get turnovers that way, but they can also get burned. I like Bowling Green to win the game, but I don't think I can lay 9.5. Western Michigan's quarterback struggled last week. He should improve here, but again, he's on the road playing another tough defense. So I don't know. Pass for me as of right now. Did you look at this one at all, Davy?
I mean, kind of, Pete. I don't have a bet in this game.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that. I do have 4 bets for everybody today. I got 3 in college basketball. One of them starts at 4:00, so we got an earlier start for something. And then I got, one in the Tennessee-Georgia game, but I didn't bet this. I mean, I can give thoughts on it if people want, but no, I didn't bet it.
Yeah, just give us your thoughts, Gabby. If you got or not.
I think this number going all the way up to 8.5 tells you something on Bowling Green, right? For me, so it comes down to one thing, right? I like to cap things that I look at. This isn't 2 teams necessarily that I've watched a lot. So if I'm going to cap this, it comes down to the market probably for me. And the market probably says Bowling Green, the number's moving towards them for a reason, right? Even though it's a large number, even though we don't really want Bowling Green over a touchdown, it's still going that way for some reason, right? So I guess Bowling Green, but I'm not betting it.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams are tied for first in the MAC. So even though Western Michigan is a huge underdog here, they're still, tied for first with Bowling Green and 2 other teams.
Crazy
in the MAC, and the total is tough as well because again, Bowling Green has a good defense. They like to play ball control, so they can be very low scoring that way. But if Western Michigan tries their thing on defense and either they're successful with it, that can lead to higher scoring games, or if they get burned, Bowling Green will put up a lot of points. In place as of right now, and then the last game on the card is maybe even the toughest. Central Michigan, Toledo. Toledo like a 2-touchdown favorite here with a relatively low total. Toledo 3 extra rest days. Central Michigan slumping. Last week I called that one. I had the first half and the full game under. Both of them cashed. Central Michigan down to like their 4th string quarterback. They don't, they just don't have much offensively. So I was leaning Central Michigan team total under. That would be my lean here. But if the game goes longer, there could be backdoor stuff. Very low total. But Central Michigan, but Toledo is not inspiring as a 2-touchdown favorite. They do need the win here. But Central Michigan is just a bad team. They don't have anything on offense. Their defense attacks, so they get burned for big plays. But then you would think they would get turnovers, but they don't. This is a pretty crappy team. I'm almost talking myself into like a play on Toledo. -14 buying down there. This is a tough one. Gabby,
I would bet Toledo if I was betting. I would do the same thing, or maybe take Tucker Gleason, the quarterback's passing prop. He had 251 last week, and then the week before that against Bowling Green, he had 320. Just throwing too many interceptions. If he can protect the football here, though, Toledo wins by margin. That's what it comes down to. If they don't turn it over, I mean, because they have the sparks on offense. Toledo has the ability to put up points. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I mean, they beat Mississippi State, crushed Mississippi State.
Yeah, just don't turn the football over. That's the thing. 7 interceptions on the season. That's my problem with them. So,
I mean, if you beat Mississippi State by 24 on the road, why can't you beat Central Michigan by 14 at home?
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, you see, you're talking to quite an astute college football odds analyst here, Dabby Cab. All right, I'm gonna hold off on the first game for my official play. I will make one official play, and yes, I'll buy down to 14, just -122. I should probably go to 13.5, but I'll take 14. I'll make that an official play. I don't think that Central Michigan really has it right now. Toledo not an inspiring team, but one way or another, I think they should get it. So I'll make Toledo -14, -122. My only official college football play on tonight's card. I think it's all right. Let's see what people in the comments section have to say. Let's see. Picks from Dave says backstore stuff. LOL. Yeah. Tricky stuff. Some people love it. Some people, you have to be aware of that it's there. You can't deny that it exists. People are like, oh, backdoor stuff. Does that even exist? Yes. It exists. Shout out to you, picks from Dave.
What are you saying? You just didn't like it?
I'm saying some people, I'm not going to say whether I like it or don't like it. I'm just saying I admit that it exists, which some people don't. Okay. Like, what is that? Like, shut up. What is that? Shout out to picks from Dave. Yeah, Ron Crawford says Central Michigan on their 4th string quarterback. Yes, but that's not even that. If that was their only problem, that'd be bad. They also have a defense that's not really getting it done. They're not really rushing very well. Yeah, I mean, they should be able to run a little bit here, but all right. I'm taking Toledo -14. And a lot of times these like bad character teams like Toledo, they they lose bad to another good team like Bowling Green where they should win. But then when they're at home against a crappy team, they get their margin win. So that's my official play for tonight's card. Just one. Toledo -14, -122. All right. let's get into the good stuff. Dabby Cab. Tennessee, Georgia. I saw this line. It was Georgia -9 and 48. Where is that line now? Let me see if it's moved at all. Where's that line now? What's the line now?
I think it's 9 or 9.5. It might even be 9.5 right now. It's gone from 8 to 10 to 10 to 9.5 to 9. It's been all over.
So, of course, Georgia off of the loss at Ole Miss, their second loss of the season, right? So Georgia, a good team, very good, but not great, unless you think they're elite. But, I mean, on both sides of the ball, they're very good, but not necessarily elite or great. Tennessee, off another nice win as a big home favorite. They lost ATS, but okay, But, Tennessee, when they've had competitive lines, they've kind of done well. ATS, of course, their only dog line of the year was a home game against Bama. They won that one. But then, they were also at Oklahoma with a competitive line, and they won that one. They covered. NC State was the third most competitive line that they have, and they absolutely blew them out on a neutral site. So now they're getting 9 against Georgia. Georgia off the loss, of course. Carson Beck, very, very good, but not as great as people were thinking at the beginning of the year. Before I hear what you have to say, Dabby Cab, what would I do with this game? Before I hear what you have to say, if you gave me a free play right now, I'd put it on Tennessee plus the points. What do you like here, Dabby?
So I tell you what, man, I've had an interesting relationship betting Georgia this season, right? I had them last week. Terrible read. I mean, Ole Miss just beat the brakes off of them. Georgia's, holes were in the secondary on that defense. If they can't get home, which they weren't able to do against Jackson Dart, if Georgia doesn't get home, they struggle. Now, we saw them against a team like Texas, with Ewers, who everybody was, talking Heisman about also, until he came up against Georgia. They got home against Ewers, and we saw what happened. They could disrupt it. But they've got holes in their secondary, like I said. So that's the first thought on this game is one of my biggest problems with Tennessee this year has been their offensive line. And I think as this game goes on and Kirby Smart makes God, I can't speak right now. And Kirby Smart
okay. I don't blame you. I don't want to speak about this game.
And Kirby
actually free play, I throw it on Georgia money line. Fuck.
Money line. He said Georgia. There you go. Yeah.
Free play.
As the game goes on, I think Kirby Smart will make these adjustments. And now that'll be tough for this Tennessee offensive line. Nico's still a freshman. He's been playing better, but he's been under pressure too much. That's been the problem. And I think that's caused some of the early season issues for him. One of the storylines, though, that's emerging with Tennessee, though, right, is Josh Heupel. What he's done with this Tennessee football team is outstanding. Some people don't realize how big of a turnaround they've made in the last few years. They remember the last couple years because Tennessee's been good. But if you guys don't remember, when he took this team, it was shit. I mean, this program was in the dumps when he took over, and he's turned it around. And they've already got Alabama, right? Alabama and Georgia might not be the big bads that they've been in the past, but it's still Alabama. It's still Georgia. They're still going to be favored in every football game against any team that's not named Alabama or Georgia, right? So they're still Alabama and Georgia. If you're following me, Tennessee already went and hunted down Alabama this year. And I think they're live here, obviously. I don't think that's a crazy statement. I think they're live as a dog if they can find a way to keep Milroe moving with open receivers. They're going to have to get him out of the pocket, which is something he could do. They have a plan on it. What Jackson Dart was doing was getting the ball out of his hands quickly. And I think that Josh Heupel is going to be able to look at that game plan that Ole Miss had, and I think he'll be able to adjust accordingly also. So I think this is a shootout. I think it's too many points. I'm betting Tennessee in the first half here. I haven't made my bet yet, but notoriously Georgia, we talk about it every week. They start slow. Even the games they've won, right? Kentucky, they got to come from behind. Kirby Smart's so good at making these adjustments, this, that, and the other. Well, I think Josh Heupel's ability is to come out, with the script early and to score fast and to get ahead and to play from ahead. I think that's got to be the plan for Tennessee. And I think early is where it's at. So I got Tennessee in the first half plus the points.
Yeah. I mean, that does make sense. I guess I'm still a little bit scared of preseason prognostications for Georgia. But again, like you said, Tennessee used to be a bad character team, and now they're kind of a good character team. The good character teams lose big favorite ATS lines and cover dog or small favorite ATS lines. Bad character teams, the exact opposite. They blow out teams and cover when they're a huge favorite, and a lot of times lose the competitive spreads. And Tennessee has flipped from a bad character team to a good character team. Gosh, maybe Tennessee is a great play here. They're just on the road. How bad is that? Is it going to be like a hell situation from the beginning?
I mean, the SEC right now is, look at all the teams that could finish 10-2, right? Georgia.
Here you are. Wait, Ron Crawford. SEC Road Dogs are 17-4 ATS.
There you go. The SEC is a nightmare right now as far as like who comes out. Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, Texas A&M, right? Missouri. I have to laugh when I say them. But shit, they could finish 10-2 too, right? They could also hit that 10-2 mark, right? All these teams could go 10-2. Crazy what's playing out right now in the SEC. Just good teams beating the crap out of each other is what it is.
We got comments coming in that are great. We got Ron Crawford as play of the day in the NBA is Detroit +2. That's what I was thinking about Ron Crawford. I was just worried that Miami without Butler is maybe better. Ron Crawford, I mentioned the Toronto Leafs is his play of the day, and Oregon -26 is his college basketball play of the day again. And Ron Crawford, Road Dogs 17-4 ATS in the SEC, and Kong's Clips, Tennessee's defensive line and Georgia's defensive line. This game goes under 9 times out of 10. Give me the under. 9 times out of 10, that's a lot. What do you think, Dabby?
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's got a great line. Carson Beck has shown that even in the win against Texas, he threw 3 interceptions, right? I've tried to defend the guy, Pete. I have. And I got lucky, I think, winning that game against Texas because, like I said, 3 interceptions, didn't play good. Really, it came down to how bad Texas played on offense or how good Georgia played on defense. I don't know, whichever one you want to chalk it up to. Either way, Georgia's line, Tennessee's line, I think this game definitely goes under. Free bet on a total, that's where I'd go.
How about this, Dabby Cab? Georgia, first half, team total under. What do you think?
I like it.
14.5, -126.
I like it. Yep.
2 touchdowns and a field goal, though.
I would have figured it would have been between 14 and 16, so that makes sense. Yeah. Well, 14.5 and 16.5, excuse me.
14.5. 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Do they get that?
Not if they don't get a turnover like they did early against Ole Miss.
Is Tennessee's defense, they can hold them down that good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yep.
All right. I'll make that an official play. Tailing both combining Dabby Cab's analysis and Kong's Clips analysis, all of which makes sense to me. Obviously a huge game. Georgia knows they can't lose again. Maybe conservative in the first half. I'm going to take that.
that. I cashed mine, so.
I'm sorry. Yeah, here we go. Georgia, first half, team total under 14.5 -126. I can probably shop around and find a little bit better, but I'm going to make that an official football play for me, college football play.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Wine Time Sports and shout out to Real Stoney. Jose Alvarado out at least 6 weeks. Time to fully fade the Pels at every turn. We just got comments coming in. All right. Now we'll get to college basketball. You ready, Dabby Cab?
Oh, I'm ready. All
right. So we already talked about this with Brizzy. Kansas, Michigan State. Of course, Kansas, top-ranked team, beat UNC in their last game, but they blew them out in the first half, and then UNC came all the way back. And Kansas actually lost that game ATS. Michigan State hasn't played anyone yet, but they have gotten big margin wins and covers in their 2 games so far. Again, Kansas State, top-ranked team. Michigan State last year, preseason, was like a top 10 ranked team. I forgot what their preseason ranking was, but high expectations last year, way underachieved. And this year, preseason rankings out of the top 25. Some people said that they deserve to be, in the top 25, but in general, low expectations for Michigan State this year. Again, they return a bunch of guys, but that's not necessarily good. You know what I mean? On Twitter, we were like, follow Pub Sports Radio. They return Jose Bouquett, Dabby Cab, and Loshak. And people on Twitter were like, that's not good, right? We were like, oh yeah, sorry about that. A little bit of a mess up there. Michigan State, they return a bunch of guys. Maybe that's not good. Although when you have Izzo coaching, my sense is that but yeah, maybe that comes into play more. Again, if Michigan State struggles again in, December and January, early January, then I'll be looking to bet on them late January and February. Big line here for Kansas. Brizzy loved Kansas. We're liked it a lot, enough to bet. Neutral site again in Georgia. Totals about 150. What do you like here, Debbie Cab?
Yeah, Izzo wants that. He wants his players returning. He's not a big transfer portal type coach. And, whether it's college football, college basketball, whatever you want to talk about, I've been kind of negative on coaches that aren't comfortable hitting that transfer portal, right? Like Dabo Sweeney or, Izzo, like we're talking about here. I don't get it. Go hit the transfer portal, right? And you touched on the last game. Kansas didn't cover, but what they did do is they won a basketball game. Now, they were up by 20 points and they blew that lead. Okay, that's not something you want to see. That's not good. They're up by 20 points and they blow the lead.
Yeah.
But what they did was they won a basketball game where they blew a 20-point lead and were losing with 2 minutes left in the game. That shows character, okay? Because coming back after you've been up by 20 points is not easy because there's a full momentum shift, right? And these kids don't give a shit that they didn't cover the spread for us. Let me just clear that up for everyone. Like, that didn't cross their minds. They won a basketball game at home against the number 9 team in the nation. Did they win it as easily as they could have or should have? No. But they still won against North Carolina at home. It counted as a W. And this is, Bill Self, he's going to have his team ready, Pete. They better be ready because after North Carolina, you got Michigan State here. They've got Duke coming up. They've got Creighton coming up. Their early season schedule is not easy. And Kansas is a team, I'll say this. Last year, I wasn't very high on Kansas because they had no depth, right? They had some of the same players, whether you're talking about Dickinson or Abrams or Harris. They had some of these same pieces, right? But they had nothing coming off of the bench. This year, what Kansas has coming off the bench, whether you're talking about Mayo, Zeke Mayo, which I'll say this, I don't know how much longer Zeke Mayo comes off the bench, right? He had 21 points in that last game, just absolutely dominating. But quick to the point here, because I'm kind of rambling, is Kansas.
No, it's okay.
Kansas has depth. That's something that they were lacking last season. They have depth. And I don't know, what I expect out of the bench, coming off of this Michigan State team. You touched on some of their players that they have, like Atkins is returning. He's going to be a senior this year. 10.4 points per game last season. Decent 3-point shooter. They do have a transfer from Omaha, Frankie Fiddler, who was putting up a lot of points last year, but that was at Omaha, and he has shown that he's not going to probably do that here at Michigan State. I just think this is a team that has unity in Kansas, a team that has depth in Kansas. And last time I checked, it's not late January or February, and I don't bet on Tom Izzo at this time of the year, right? This isn't where his teams are clicking right now. So I got Kansas. I took them full game. Nothing cute with first half or anything. Let's go, Jayhawks.
Okay, well, I hope you cash. I'm going to stay off it, but if you're looking for stats on when to bet on Tom Izzo or not, this is what Rod Z posted earlier in the show. Bet on Tom Izzo on the money line after 2 straight games, out-rebounding opponent by 15 or more. Izzo's record as coach of Michigan State, 24-8. But then again, they weren't necessarily playing the number 1 team in the nation in any of those games, maybe, but
right. And you forgot to throw in that it has to be on a Tuesday when the sun's a little bit lower.
Well, no. I mean, he's just saying that, there's some fundamental there.
I'm just fucking around.
Yeah, when an Izzo team is rebounding well, that's an indication that they might be a good bet going forward. Chase J, though, says Kansas is loaded. My Tar Heels fought hard, but Kansas has a bench that would start for 99% of teams.
Yeah, they're depth. They're 8 deep. Kansas is 8 deep, which, that's a number right there.
Right. Wow. So maybe some kind of live betting might be decent here. Like if Michigan State gets up early, which is entirely possible, live bet the hell out of Kansas, right? Maybe just to win at a little bit of a favorite line there, right?
That's one way. Kansas, or just take them right now. Take them right now. You're good.
That's what I would love. I would love it if Michigan State was up by 8 or something, and then the Kansas live line just to win the game was like minus 110 or something like that.
I would not, because then I'd probably have 2 bets, and I'd be.
Yeah, you got to be careful. All right. Well, Dabby Cab liking Kansas, Billy Brisbane liking Kansas, pretty much everyone liking Kansas except for Rod Z. I don't know if he has actually made a bet on Michigan State, but he has certainly given us some interesting facts about Michigan State in general. Me personally, I'm going to pass on this one. But again, if Michigan State does get up at any point, really, I'll be looking hard at a Kansas bet live. All right, next game on the card, same tournament, Kentucky and Duke, right? Duke about a 6-point favorite. I didn't see where the line moved. Neither one of these teams has played anyone yet, but they both got huge wins to start their seasons. And of course, Duke has a freshman, Cooper Flagg, who is projected top overall pick. Kentucky, a lot of change, right? They have a new bunch of transfer additions. They've got all sorts of a change in the program. So far, playing cupcakes, they have they've been absolutely fine and excellent. But maybe that will matter here going up against Duke. Kentucky top 20, Duke top 10. Duke giving a bunch of points, though. Again, I have absolutely no idea what I would do with this game. Total pass for me. What do you like here, Davey?
It's such an interesting game, right? And if you just ask me, like, let's say in March, right? Because obviously we could easily see these two teams playing again in March, right? Let's say these two teams are playing each other in March, and you ask me right now with these rosters, who do I think I would bet? Duke. Okay. I take Duke if we're talking about March, but we're not in March right now. It's early, right? And a lot of these Duke players, I think I heard Billy touch on it, are young. We're talking about freshmen, whether you're talking about Cooper Flagg, they've lost, there's been a huge turnover with Filipowski, McCain. A lot of these big players that they've lost are now replaced with younger guys. Whereas you look at Kentucky on the other side, and shout out to Calipari, first season for the Wildcats without Calipari, first big game without him. But you look at, Bree, the transfer from Dayton, who was averaging 11.1 points per game last year, or Robertson, another good transfer that they got. He was a big pickup down low for Kentucky. These guys are older, right? So we're talking, even though both teams are trying to gel, we're talking about, I don't want to use the word veteran players because I think that would be a term that you'd save for like professional sports. But these are guys who have been there. These are guys who have done that. Whereas Duke's still finding their feet. And, I just think this is a spot, for Kentucky where at least they cover the spread. I'm not saying I think Kentucky wins this game, but I think Kentucky covers, even with the freshmen that Duke has. I mean, they got some of the best players in the nation. They really do. And I'm going to acknowledge that. I'm going to say it again. You put this game with this spread in March, I'm probably on Duke. They have a little bit of a size advantage also. But Kentucky does have Williams down low, the 7-footer, who gets almost about 14 boards per game. Bree, the transfer I touched on, he's a good shooter. I think Kentucky has the parts to keep this close. I think we get a really exciting game, just like the North Carolina-Kansas game was. Give me Kentucky. I took them first half plus 3.5.
Very interesting. Yeah. Comments from the comments section about this. Chase J says Kentucky is a top 10 team, honestly. Can they cover on Duke? I don't know, but they're underrated right now, ironically, when they have less big names. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, in the first, Morgan Spooner says Kentucky doesn't just have new players. They have new coaches, new equipment people. Cal ran the whole show. I'm not backing them this year, but that's probably the situation where you might want to look for them to maybe be a little bit undervalued and underrated. I would love to take a shot with the Kentucky team total over at like 77.5, because just like the Kansas game, who knows what's going to happen. It was very high scoring. I just don't really want to do that when both of these teams have been so high scoring against inferior competition. And now they're going to be playing each other. But so that's going to keep me off it. But I would love to take a shot with the Kentucky team total over. Wow. That is a hell of a breakdown, Dabby Cab. All right, I'm going to stay off it as far as an official play is concerned. MMA locker room, like in Kentucky plus the points. Dabby, you just like Kentucky first half, right?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't hate them full game also, but I'm going to take them first half. I think they might even they might even be up early in this game. I think this is the whole angle for me is like, again, I don't want to use the word veterans, but like experience versus, fresh, like young eyes, young kids that haven't been in a situation against Kentucky and Duke, right? This is a new thing for them, right? So Kentucky first half plus 3.5. You got to lay a little juice for that, minus 115, but you can still get it. And then I got Kansas in the other game, minus 5.5, minus 108. And then I have a prop, Pete, that I wanted to throw out for everyone.
Go ahead.
Wooga Poplar If you know the name, it's because you saw him playing at Miami the last couple seasons. 2 years ago when Miami had all those electric guards, he was one of them. And then last year, pretty good season, 13.5 points per game, I think is what he averaged. Miami was just a little down. Well, he transferred to Villanova, and Villanova is taking on St. Joe's today. And I got his point prop over 12.5 at -110. I absolutely love it. I think it's, if you ask me my best bet out of three bets that I just gave, it would be Poplar's point prop right there.
Wow. Great breakdown, Dabby Cab, for college basketball. Again, Dabby Cab liking that prop, liking Kentucky +3.5. You know, Dabby, I'm not going to add it to my slate of official plays here, but I think you're right. I think I'm going to tail Kentucky first half +3 or 3.5. I think that's I would love to take your team total over, but after two huge scoring games against the, Cupcakes, when they meet up, especially the first half, might be very low scoring. And in fact, if the first half is super low scoring, I'll probably be looking at a second half over, except with a full game total of 160. It's going to be very high. But Dabby Cab and Billy Brisbane, like in Kansas, minus the points against Michigan State. Great segment, Dabby Cab. Anything you want to finish off with?
That's it. Poplar, the prop for the Villanova player, if you guys wanted the third bet I gave. But Pete, thanks for having me, man. I love doing this with you. I love you guys in the chat, man. And I'll see you guys soon. Let's get
yeah. Dabby Cab, talk to you again next Tuesday. And Justin McElvee's play of the day, Florida State -18.5. What a great show. Jose Bouquett, you want to pop in for a sec? Or you're not there? That's all right.
Hello, nice to see you. Hold on.
Pretty good show today, right?
Yeah, we have to shout out to our guy Stacks real quick.
Stacks.
Shout out to you, Justin.
Yeah, they're playing Tarleton, which is usually a team that makes me very nervous fading. Although this year they've gotten blown the F out twice, so I'm not. I haven't done my in-depth research enough for that game. I did look at that, and I was like, wow, Tarleton's gotten blown out. But in general, they're a team that I just have in my mind as a team I don't like to fade as a huge dog. But they've definitely gotten scorched 2 games, their first 2 games so far this year. All right, Jose Bouquett, man, a lot of preparation, but we did it. Great show. I think all my plays in general, my official plays as a group, are going to come up at least half a unit positive. I do.
You say 55%? 55% today?
Half a unit. I think it's going to be good. Yeah, Georgia Bulldogs, first half team total under. They might be really like, we got to win this game in conservative, and Tennessee comes to play D. Huge game. That might be a great play right there. Once again, I was leaning Pistons. Ron Crawford play of the day. Mally Mal and others were saying Pistons first quarter were a good bet. Other people saying maybe Miami's better without Butler. What an interesting show. Morgan Spooner says, great work, Loshak. Great work to all of the cappers in the comment section. All of our, what a goddamn Brizzy, Dabby, everyone. Gogi. And I think we can wrap it up, right? What else have we got going on this week, Jose Bouquett?
No, just if you guys need a book, like always, you guys are looking to open a new sports book. Go to our link. It's been pinned in our chat. And you put in your location, you'll see all the offers we have for all the books. If you need a new, you want to open up a BetMGM account, it'll be right there for you. And as well, it has the daily fantasy sleeper underdogs as well. So shout out to you, Pete. Thanks for hosting as always.
And Morgan Spooner pointing out rivalry games, of course, in college basketball, going back years. Be very wary of rivalry games. You see that all the time. West Virginia Marshall games, it would be like West Virginia -26. They'd win by 4. You know what I mean? All those rivalry games matter a lot. Morgan Spooner liking Drexel +10 and Belmont +7. Kong's Clips NBA smash play of the day is Joel Embiid. Over 23.5 points. Yeah, the return of Joel Embiid. What a crazy, Jose Bouquett, let's wrap it up. And that, a 4-point move in the NBA with Embiid's first game back. What's going on there, Jose Bouquett?
Joel Embiid is going to be a big pain in the ass to put back in their offense because he has not been playing this entire season. He's their entire offense when he's there. And now you have to add him in, and Paul George is first game with him out there as well. And I ultimately don't think he's in shape either. So
huge shout out to Tori Coker. Great to see you in the comment section, Tori Coker. Kong slips, liking Joel Embiid, over points. All right. Awesome show all around. We'll see y'all again next Tuesday.